Chapter 473. After wiping out 5 orthodoxies in a row, Chu Kuangren had unleashed his unparalleled combat strength, shocking the entire firmament star. In an instant, the title of the world's strongest cultivator was crowned on his head. Not just the world's strongest sky pride, but the world's strongest cultivator. Chu Kuangren was in the limelight. Meanwhile, above the ruins of Acheron Manor, a black-robed figure suddenly arrived. It was a graceful lady in a black robe with a metal mask on her face. Behind the lady was a cloud of black mist that seemed to be alive as it let out a sound from time to time. Destroying Acheron Manor with a single palm. Eminent, this Chu Kuangren is really a monster, the black-robed lady mumbled as she looked at the scene. She carefully searched the ruins for a while. Isn't this Acheron Manor too poor? I can't even find anything good here. How can this be considered a top-notch orthodoxy? Or was it all destroyed with a single palm? Forget it, let's find that thing first. The black-robed lady continued to search the ruins for a while. Relying on her unique senses, she came before the broken sarcophagus and found the strange, pitch-black stone tablet. Her eyes suddenly lit up. Finally found it. The black-robed lady looked at the stone tablet with excitement in her eyes. After so many years, it's finally returned to its rightful owner. Just as she was about to take the stone tablet away, "These are my spoils of war." An indifferent voice rang out. Out of nowhere, a figure had appeared on the stone tablet. That person stood on top of the stone tablet. He was dressed in white and had black hair. The black-robed lady's eyes narrowed when she saw him, and she immediately retreated in a defensive stance. Chu Kuangren, this was not good. It was impossible for her to take anything from Chu Kuangren's hands. Roar! An uneasy roar came from the black mist behind the black-robed lady. The black mist expanded by a few times and a sharp claw reached out. "You dog, behave yourself," the black-robed lady said softly. "Ugh!" The being in the black mist let out an aggrieved cry. "Oh, a demonic being." Chu Kuangren activated his eye of revelation and scanned through the lady and the black mist, analyzing their information. Infernal demonic wolf, sage ruler. Zhan Hongying, the princess of the Azura clan, a sage. Zhan Hongying ranked second on the hidden dragon list. "Tell me everything you know about this stone tablet." Chu Kuangren stood on top of the stone tablet and asked, "If I tell you, can you give me the steel?" Zhan Hongying said, "Sure, as long as you can beat me." Zhan Hongying's face lit up when she heard the first 2 words, but the latter part completely shattered her delusion. Defeat Chu Kuangren? What a joke. As long as she wasn't stupid, she knew that she was no match for the other party. If the other party's palm came over, she would probably lose half her life. "Fellow Taoist Chu, this stone tablet isn't just important to me. It's important to all living beings in the world because it's related to the devil realm." "Well, tell me about it." In ancient times, the underworld demonic realm had once invaded the firmament star. Later on, an emperor appeared out of nowhere and chased all the demonic creatures back to the demonic realm. He then refined 99 Acheron tablets with an unparalleled technique and sealed the passageway between the demonic realm and the firmament star. Chu Kuangren's expression did not change as he listened to Zhan Hongying. It was hard to tell if he believed her or not. "You're saying that this stone tablet is the Acheron tablet?" "That's right. The 99 Acheron tablets form the great Acheron formation that seals the demonic realm's passageway. This is the most important stone tablet, the Acheron formation's eye. It's also an item that the Ashura tribe has guarded for generations. However, many years ago the great Acheron formation experienced a violent disturbance, and someone took the opportunity to take this stone tablet away. It wasn't until recently that the Acheron Manor appeared. Through the Acheron formation's eye, we were able to locate the stone tablet. Now, can you please return it to me, Brother Chu?" Zhan Hongying asked. Chu Kuangren pondered for a moment before he said, "It's not that I can't return this stone tablet to you, but you can come back to me when I'm done studying it." He did not completely believe her words. This Acheron tablet contained an extremely strong emperor's aura, and the runes on it were unique as if they contained the Tao of talismans and various emperors' insights. This was an extremely valuable treasure. It was impossible for him to give up on such a treasure with just a few words from Zhan Hongying. He would have to be out of his mind to do something so stupid. In recent years, the demonic realm has been restless and ready to break the seal at any time. If we don't retrieve the Acheron tablet soon, the demonic realm's army will descend upon us again in 10 years at most. 10 years? It won't take that long. Chu Kuangren said. 10 years to comprehend a single stone tablet? He felt that 10 days was too long. Zhan Hongying did not know what to say since she could not convince Chu Kuangren otherwise. If you have nothing else to say, then we'll meet again. Chu Kuangren kept the stone tablet into his yin and yang ring. Then, his figure disappeared from the spot. Woo woo, the black mist behind Zhan Hongying let out 2 cries. Idiot, how would I know what to do? The Acheron tablet has fallen into that guy's hands. Unless he doesn't want it anymore, who can take it back from him? Zhan Hongying said in frustration. I'm so angry. Zhan Hongying scratched her head. I should find someone to fight and vent my anger. I wonder if Xiao Jingchen is still alive in the Heavenly Golden Palace. If I can't find him, I'll have to look for Wang Tianting. Black Heaven Sect. When Chu Kuangren returned to the Black Heaven Sect, he planned to comprehend the strange stone tablet. However, Elder Rian and the white-robed general suddenly came to find him. What happened? Chu Kuangren frowned when he saw the 2's serious expressions. Sect leader, I think something happened to Shang Qingxue. Something happened? Yes, we've been trying to contact her for the past few days, but there hasn't been any response, Elder Rian said. I want to go out and look for her. The white-robed general said. Let me take a look. Chu Kuangren then spread his spiritual thoughts with the Black Heaven Sect as the center, covering the entire firmament star. Apart from a few hidden places, images of other places flashed across his mind like a slideshow. However, he could not find any trace of Shang Qingxue. There were 2 explanations for that. First, Shang Qingxue was no longer on firmament star. Of course, the possibility of that was very low. Chu Kuangren was more inclined to the second explanation, which was that Shang Qingxue had either entered a spatial secret realm or was hidden by someone else. Where was the last time you contacted Shang Qingxue? Chu Kuangren asked. It was in the Nebula Prefecture. That's the territory of Parch Prime Palace. Elder Rian said. Oh, Parch Prime Palace. That name sounds familiar. Chu Kuangren suddenly took out a letter and said, Isn't Lu Yiqing from Parch Prime Palace the one who infiltrated the Black Heaven Sect? I wanted to ask for a ransom from them, but I didn't expect to be delayed by so many things. Looks like it's time for me to pay them a visit. Chu Kuangren murmured. Chapter 474. Nebula Prefecture, Parch Prime Palace. Inside a great hall. An old man was yelling at a young man. UB****, do you know what you're doing? How dare you capture someone from the Black Heaven Sect? Do you have a death wish? Do you want Parch Prime Palace to suffer the same fate as Ethereal Rapture and Acheron Manor? Do you want Chu Kuangren to give us a slap too? The old man was so angry that his face turned red and his chest heaved. He was filled with hatred. Seeing how the young man in front of him was behaving like a yes man, the old man became even angrier and kicked him to the ground. Why didn't your father shoot you to the wall back then? Father, please calm down. Xianer didn't do it on purpose. Who knew so many things would happen in just 2 short months? A middle-aged man walked up and said. Another lady walked up and helped the young man up. That's right. If I knew Chu Kuangren could break the heavenly punishment seal and was so powerful, I wouldn't have captured her. The young man Zhang Xian said. The old man almost rushed up and slapped him to death when he heard that. See, this is the good son you've spoiled. The old man was the Parch Prime Palace Lord. Everything that happened now was because the Parch Prime Palace Lord's grandson, Zhang Xian, had captured a woman 2 months ago. It was not a rare occurrence. Zhang Xian was a pervert, and that was a well-known fact in the Nebula Prefecture. It was not the first time he had captured women back to the palace. However, the person he captured this time was a little special. That woman was from the Black Heaven Sect. If it were 2 months ago, the Parch Prime Palace Lord would not have cared much about this. After all, 2 months ago the Black Heaven Sect had secluded themselves from the world, and Chu Kuangren had the heavenly punishment seal on him. Everyone thought he had fallen. So what if he captured one of his disciples? However, things had changed too quickly in just 2 short months. Chu Kuangren entered the world, ascended to the top of the soaring dragon leaderboard, and shocked the world with his brilliant runic techniques. Then he destroyed the craggy ocean tower, and when he broke the seal, his strength was like that of a living emperor. He suppressed all enemies. The 5 great orthodoxies were wiped out in one day. The world was terrified. Everyone was in awe of Chu Kuangren. Yet, Parch Prime Palace had captured one of his disciples. Was there anything worse than this? Father, it's just a disciple. It shouldn't be a big deal. At the very most, we can just give them some compensation. The middle-aged man said. Bullsh**T. Haven't you guys investigated Chu Kuangren's personality? A few years ago, before he had become a saint, how many saints had he killed for the sake of his disciples? How many orthodoxies were destroyed? Now that he's a martial saint, he's invincible. If he were to find out that his disciple has been mistreated here, who knows what kind of trouble he'll cause. Parch Prime Palace Master felt a headache coming on. He glared viciously at Zhang Xian and said coldly, "If necessary, I don't mind sacrificing you." Hearing this, Zhang Xian's face paled. "I'll ask you again. You didn't do anything to that woman, did you?" No. Zhang Xian hurriedly shook his head. "This woman has a strong and unyielding personality. Every time she would threaten me with death. I did not dare to act rashly, so I kept her locked in the U prison. Other than me, no one else could enter. As long as you didn't touch her, everything is fine. He was only locked up for a few days, so it shouldn't be a problem." At that moment, a disciple suddenly walked in. Sect leader Daoist is back. Parch Prime Palace Master was delighted. Iching is back. Lu Yiqing was a Daoist of Parch Prime Palace. He was also the most outstanding Sky Pride among the younger generation of Parch Prime Palace and was on the Soaring Dragon leaderboard. He had always been the disciple that Parch Prime Palace Master was proud of. Lu Yiqing, that guy is back. Zhang Xian's eyes darkened. Everyone in Parch Prime Palace respected this Daoist. Even his grandfather, the Parch Prime Palace Master, doted on him. On the other hand, other than the title of the sect leader's grandson, no one in Parch Prime Palace respected him. This made him extremely dissatisfied with Lu Yiqing. Naturally, he was unhappy to hear that Lu Yiqing had returned. Lu Yiqing walked into the main hall. "Yiqing, you're finally back. I couldn't contact you for the past few days, so I thought something happened to you." Parch Prime Palace Master smiled. Lu Yiqing was a little embarrassed. He had been locked up in the Black Heaven sect for the past few days, and all his belongings had been confiscated. Of course, Parch Prime Palace Master could not contact him. "Sect leader, I've brought 2 guests with me this time. Yo, senior brother Lu sure has a wide circle of friends. You brought back Yinli a few days ago. I wonder what kind of impressive people you've brought back this time," Zhang Xian said sarcastically. "Be careful with your words, junior brother. I'm not worthy of these 2 people." Lu Yiqing said solemnly. "There are people that Lu Yiqing is not worthy of? What a joke. You're a Daoist of Parch Prime Palace. Are you belittling yourself or Parch Prime Palace?" Zhang Xian said sarcastically. "Alright, shut up." Parch Prime Palace Master scolded Zhang Xian. He then said, "Yiqing, where are they?" "They're waiting outside the palace." "Alright, bring them in." "Alright." Lu Yiqing hurriedly walked out. Out of courtesy, those 2 let him in first, but he dared not let them wait for too long. Look at how anxious he is. If I didn't know better, I would have thought it was some boundary emperor or something. Zhang Xian curled his lips. Yiqing's return this time is a little unusual. Even Parch Prime Palace Master felt that Lu Yiqing's behavior was a little too much. What kind of person was he to be so arrogant? Even if he was the leader of those orthodoxies, there was no need for him to act this way. Parch Prime Palace Master glanced at Zhang Xian's frivolous expression and remembered the trouble he had caused. He snorted coldly and picked up the teacup on the table, wanting to drink some water to calm himself down. At that moment, Lu Yiqing had already led the 2 guests into the palace. One of them was dressed in white and had black hair. He was handsome and otherworldly, while the other had a mask covering his face, revealing only a pair of cold eyes. "Kacha," Parch Prime Palace Master's hand trembled, and the teacup fell to the ground. "Chu Kuangren." Parch Prime Palace Master exclaimed. He had thought about who Lu Yiqing's guest could be, but he never expected it to be Chu Kuangren. What was he doing here? Did he already know that Zhang Xian had captured his disciple? Chu Kuangren, who had just entered the palace, could not help but feel surprised. No way? His current reputation was indeed quite big. However, there was no need for him to look like this. He was not here to kill, so why did he look so shocked? Especially Zhang Xian. When he heard Chu Kuangren's name, he staggered and almost fell off his chair. How could he be so scared? Something was not right. Chu Kuangren squinted his eyes. "I didn't expect the guest Yiqing mentioned to be Sect Leader Chu. If I knew it was Sect Leader Chu, I would have welcomed you personally." Parch Prime Palace Master quickly calmed down and smiled. "I'm here to visit, but I didn't prepare a visiting card beforehand. I apologize for that." Chu Kuangren smiled. "Come, please take a seat." "Thank you. May I know the reason for your visit, Sect Leader Chu?" "It's like this. One of my disciples has gone missing in Parch Prime Palace's domain. I'm here to borrow Parch Prime Palace's power to help me search for her. I wonder if you're willing to help?" As soon as he said that, a strange silence filled the palace. Chapter 475. Upon hearing Chu Kuangren's words, the Parch Prime Palace Lord remained calm and collected. However, Zhang Xian, who was beside him, did not have the same level of composure. Panic was written all over his face and Chu Kuangren saw it all. There's something fishy going on with this Parch Prime Palace. Chu Kuangren thought to himself. That disciple of mine is a woman named Shang Qingxue. The person beside her is her ancestor, a sage ruler. He has been separated from Shang Qingxue for many years, and his only wish is to see his descendant again. If anything happens to her, he will never let this matter rest, Chu Kuangren said as he scanned the expressions of everyone present. The color on Zhang Xian's face gradually faded, and his face became extremely pale. His body was also trembling uncontrollably. Chu Kuangren saw all these subtle movements. So, where is she? Chu Kuangren let out a fierce roar. His voice was like thunder and the entire palace shook. Zhang Xian was so shocked that he almost fainted. The Parch Prime Palace Lord's expression changed and he quickly said, Sect Leader Chu, I won't hide this from you. Your disciple is now in Parch Prime Palace. It's just a small misunderstanding. Please listen to my explanation, Sect Leader Chu. Should I listen to your explanation or your lies? Chu Kuangren said coldly, Bring me to her. This way please, Sect Leader Chu. At this point, the Parch Prime Palace Lord no longer held any hope of getting lucky. He brought Chu Kuangren and the white-robed general towards the Serenity Pavilion. The Serenity Pavilion was specially used by Parch Prime Palace to imprison disciples who had made mistakes. It was equipped with countless restrictions that could prevent spiritual thoughts from prying. This also explained why Chu Kuangren could not find Shang Qingxue when he used his spiritual thoughts to search for her. There were many rooms in the Serenity Pavilion. Chu Kuangren and the others entered the Serenity Pavilion, passed through a corridor, and arrived at an exquisite courtyard. When they opened the door to a room, inside, a woman in a blue dress stood up, drew a long sword and held it against her own neck. If you dare come any closer, I'll. Sect Leader. Before Shang Qingxue could finish her sentence, she saw a familiar figure in front of her. She unconsciously put down the long sword in her hand, and her eyes reddened. Chu Kuangren looked at her with a terrifyingly gloomy expression. Shang Qingxue didn't seem to have suffered much damage other than her aura being weakened and her spiritual power being restricted. However, the moment they opened the door, Chu Kuangren and the white-robed general's instinctive action of unsheathing their swords and threatening to kill themselves had deeply hurt Chu Kuangren and the white-robed general. What was it that made her threaten him with death? What kind of psychological pressure had she been under these days? Chu Kuangren did not have to think too deeply to guess what was going on. Qingxue, the sect leader, has returned to bring you home. Chu Kuangren took a deep breath and tried his best to calm his expression. Sect leader? Shang Qingxue could not hold it in any longer. She threw herself at him, tears streaming down her cheeks. Chu Kuangren had some understanding of Shang Qingxue. Back then she was able to grit her teeth and persevere through his hellish training. Now that she saw him, she couldn't help but cry. It was easy to imagine the grievances he had suffered in the past few days. After a while, Shang Qingxue let go of Chu Kuangren. She rubbed her eyes and tried to calm herself down. Sect leader, how did you find me? We'll talk about this later. First, tell me who imprisoned you here. Chu Kuangren asked. Shang Qingxue told him everything that had happened. 2 months ago, she passed by this place while training and happened to bump into Parch Prime Palace's Zhang Xian. Lusting after her beauty, he tricked her into coming to Parch Prime Palace and then poisoned her to seal her spiritual power. In these 2 months, she had been threatening death, relying on the meager amount of spiritual energy in her body to persevere. She had not taken a single drop of water or rice. She did not even dare to sleep, afraid that Zhang Xian would take advantage of her. Zhang Xian was not in a hurry either. Instead, he continued to play with her. He was certain that she would not last much longer. It was at this moment that Chu Kuangren arrived. However, Chu Kuangren knew that even if he did not come, Zhang Xian would not dare to hurt Shang Qingxue. That was because the news of him breaking the heavenly punishment seal had spread like wildfire. Even so, Zhang Xian still had to pay the price. Sect leader Zhang, I don't think I need to tell you what to do. I'm sure you know what to do, Chu Kuangren said coldly. Sect leader Chu, since Miss Shang isn't hurt, Parch Prime Palace is willing to compensate her. Please forgive her, Sect leader Chu. The Parch Prime Palace Lord said. After all, Zhang Xian was his grandson. He would save him if he could. I'm not going to repeat myself. Unless you want the entire Parch Prime Palace to perish with him? Chu Kuangren's tone darkened. The Parch Prime Palace Lord was speechless. I understand. Not long after, Zhang Xian was brought before Chu Kuangren and the others. Sect leader Chu, please spare my life. I won't do it again. Zhang Xian kept kowtowing and begging for mercy. Qingxue, I'll leave this to you. Without hesitation, Shang Qingxue drew her long sword. With a sword ray, Zhang Xian's head fell to the ground and spun twice. 2 months of fear and anxiety seemed to have been vented with that one sword attack. Shang Qingxue, who had not eaten or drunk for 2 months and had her spiritual power sealed, finally could not take it anymore and fainted. The white-robed general was one step ahead of Chu Kuangren to help her up. Looking at her face, a rare hint of gentleness appeared in the white-robed general's cold eyes. You look so much like Ayu back then. Ayu was the princess of the Lu Kingdom, the lover of the white-robed general. Take her away to rest. All right. After the white-robed general left, Chu Kuangren did not even look at the corpse on the ground. Instead, he took out a letter and handed it to the Parch Prime Palace Lord. Besides looking for the Black Heaven sect's disciples, there's another matter. That is about Lu Yiqing sneaking into the Black Heaven sect and being caught red-handed by me. If you want to redeem him, you'll have to pay a ransom. Beside him, Lu Yiqing smiled bitterly. He knew this was not the end of it. The Parch Prime Palace Lord was dumbfounded as he looked at the letter in his hand. What's going on? Chu Kuangren had killed his own grandson in Parch Prime Palace, and now he wanted them to pay a ransom? What kind of logic is this? Besides that, although Shang Qingxue is fine, she must have suffered a lot over the past few months. She must be compensated for her psychological damage. What? There's psychological damage too? The Parch Prime Palace Lord was stunned, but when he saw Chu Kuangren's cold gaze, he lost all his temper. What else could he do? Of course he had to pay. Unless Parch Prime Palace wanted to be like the other orthodoxies and take a hit. However, they did not dare to do that. A day later, Chu Kuangren had obtained a huge amount of cultivation resources, which almost emptied out the entire Desolate Prime sect's fortune. After that, Chu Kuangren and the others were ready to return to the sect. Just as they stepped out of the Parch Prime sect, they saw a pillar of light piercing through the clouds, and a powerful energy wave erupted. Oh, another opportunity of fortune has appeared? But I don't sense any Emperor's aura. I wonder what kind of opportunity of fortune this is. Chu Kuangren was slightly surprised as he stood on the tower. Beside him, the white-robed general hesitated before he said, Sect leader, I'd like to go and have a look. Wait a minute, what did you call me? Chu Kuangren said with a surprised look. Since my descendants are in the Black Heaven sect, and you saved my life, it's only right for me to call you sect leader. Don't tell me you don't want me to join? Of course not. You're more than welcome. Chu Kuangren said. Chapter 476. The vast might covered the Nebula Dao province, and the white-robed general expressed his desire to take a look. Qingxue has not woken up yet. This is my first time meeting her, so I wanted to prepare a greeting gift for her. This opportunity is just right. Chu Kuangren nodded slightly. Sure. He was also quite interested in this opportunity. Under the detection of the treasure-seeking technique, a large amount of information about the treasure rushed towards him. Oh, there are quite a lot of them. Chu Kuangren was a little surprised. Although he did not care about most of the things, there were still some good things. For example, in the perception of the treasure-seeking technique, he discovered several quasi-emperor-level treasures. There was even an emperor-level treasure. Congratulations. You have obtained the legendary spell array, Sealing Sword Array. On his way to the location of the opportunity of fortune, Chu Kuangren drew a prize as usual, and he was quite satisfied with the prize he received. Although he already had many legendary-level rewards such as Imperial Scriptures, Imperial Weapons, Sword Formations, etc. But who would complain about having too many legendary prizes? The Sealing Sword Formation was similar to the Four-Season Sword Formation. It was an extremely powerful sword formation, but its focus was different. The Four-Season Sword Formation focused on offense, while the Sealing Sword Formation focused on sealing. After Chu Kuangren retrieved the formation, he no longer paid any attention to it. Very soon, he and the white-robed general arrived at the location of the fortuitous opportunity. It was a huge volcano crater. Incomparably hot fire-type energy filled the surroundings. Many cultivators were rushing over. This is a volcano nourished by the earth veins. Some sharp-eyed cultivators recognized this opportunity. Rumor has it that earth veins are divided into non-attribute earth veins and attribute earth veins. Among them, attribute earth veins can easily produce all kinds of treasures. This volcano is connected to a fire attribute earth vein, and it seems to be of a very high grade. This volcano has accumulated countless years of fire attribute earth chi, and today, it has finally reached its limit and is ready to erupt. Palace Master Parch Prime said with great knowledge. He had also noticed Chu Kuangren and the white-robed general who were not too far away. His expression changed slightly, but he pretended not to see them. Chu Kuangren did not care about him either. His gaze swept across the group of cultivators who had arrived at the volcano. The Eye of Revelation activated. He didn't put most cultivators in his eyes. However, there were some cultivators who caught his attention. They were the prodigies on the Hidden Dragon list. To be more precise, they were the top 10 prodigies on the Hidden Dragon roll. Besides Zhan Hongying, whom Chu Kuangren previously met at Acheron Manor, there were also Xiao Jingchen, Wang Tianting, Yu Ling, and a few others. These people were all from ancient or even ancient orthodoxies. What surprised Chu Kuangren the most was Xiao Jingchen. This third-ranked Sky Pride on the Soaring Dragon leaderboard was not only a descendant of the ancient by family of the Nine Heavens, but he was also the first heavenly golden imperial physique in the heavenly golden palace tens of thousands of years ago. He was also the person who had challenged him previously. He's lucky to have survived the heavenly golden palace. Did he sneak away while I was fighting Boundary Emperor Wuxia? Chu Kuangren murmured. He looked at Xiao Jingchen with a gleam in his eyes as if he was considering if he should kill him. Xiao Jingchen, who was being stared at by Chu Kuangren, could not help but shudder. He stood a distance away and did not dare to look Chu Kuangren in the eye. Even though his orthodoxy had been destroyed, he did not dare to show even the slightest bit of hostility. He was afraid that Chu Kuangren would suddenly find him and kill him. To his relief, Chu Kuangren looked away after a few glances at him. It was as if Chu Kuangren could not be bothered with him. It was as if Chu Kuangren thought that Xiao Jingchen was too weak to fight. This person is too terrifying. I'm no match for him now. If I can avoid conflict, it's best not to provoke him. Xiao Jingchen thought to himself. To him, staying alive was the way to go. It was not embarrassing to be a coward at a time like this. Chu Kuangren took in all of Xiao Jingchen's expressions and could roughly guess what he was thinking. To kill or not to kill, it was all up to Chu Kuangren. To him, killing Xiao Jingchen was as easy as lifting his hand. It was effortless. If that was the case, he might as well keep him alive. Who knew, he might be of some use in the future. Ancient orthodoxies, by family, I should pay more attention to the Nine Heavens. All the emperors are there. Chu Kuangren thought to himself. While Chu Kuangren was observing the Nine Heavens Sky Prides, the other Nine Heavens Sky Prides were also observing him with fear and seriousness. Is that Chu Kuangren? Wang Tianting from the ancient Wang family looked at Chu Kuangren and said in a serious tone. This young man is really good looking. A voluptuous woman licked her red lips and said. She looked at Chu Kuangren with a lustful look in her eyes. Behind her, 5 furry, fiery red tails were unconsciously wagging. She was Humayrin, a Sky Pride from the ancient heavenly fox tribe. A coquettish fox. Wang Tianting glanced at her and snorted. Tsk Chu Kuangren. This person may be the biggest obstacle in the human realm. A young man hidden under a cloak looked up and glanced at Chu Kuangren before quickly retracting his gaze. This person was not from the Nine Heavens, nor was he from the firmament star. Instead, he was a Sky Pride from the underworld demonic realm, Tuba. Buzz buzz buzz. At that moment, the volcano started to shake violently. A huge amount of lava gushed out. Along with the eruption of lava, many treasures from the earth veins were sent flying in all directions due to the impact of the volcano's eruption. All the Sky Prides and sages immediately made their moves to snatch them. Most of these treasures were sage-grade treasures, which were extremely rare. Haha, these treasures are mine. Wang Tianting laughed out loud. He took a step forward and reached out with his 5 fingers, which turned into a giant colorful spiritual power hand that contained the Taoist rhymes of the 5 elements. It was a terrifying sight. It was a very powerful Boundary Emperor technique. With a single grab, more than 10 treasures were caught in his hand. The cultivators who tried to snatch the treasures along the way were all sent flying by the giant hand. Pippi, go for this old lady. Zhan Hongying let out a soft roar. The black mist behind her let out a low growl before it started to move and dash towards those treasures. During that process, the black mist dissipated, revealing a ferocious black demonic wolf. It opened its mouth wide and bit on the treasures before it skillfully placed them into a yin and yang ring on its neck. An underworld demonic wolf? Judging from its aura, this is the highest-ranked bloodline, the Wolf King bloodline. Tuba from the demonic realm looked at Zhan Hongying in shock. He initially wanted to attack, but he immediately dismissed the idea. This person in front of him must be from that tribe. If she found out that he was from the demonic realm, a fierce battle would be inevitable. For the sake of the bigger picture, he had to endure it for now. On the other side, Humaran's fox tails swayed behind her, and a strange seductive power emanated from her. The cultivators who had obtained the treasures around her became mesmerized, and they willingly handed over their treasures. Thank you, everyone. Humaran chuckled. The fact that she had obtained a bunch of treasures so effortlessly made many cultivators fearful. They cursed her for being a demonic woman, but their eyes lingered on her sexy body, unwilling to leave. All the Sky Prides used their techniques to fight for the treasures. Meanwhile, Chu Kuangren and the white-robed general stood in the air without moving. Chapter 477. Chu Kuangren and the white-robed general stood in the air. They did not move. That was because the treasures that erupted from the volcano were mostly ordinary sage-level treasures. They were not interested in them at all. Chu Kuangren had just destroyed the 5 great orthodoxies and looted countless treasures. In addition to the treasures he had accumulated previously, the Black Heaven sect now had too many sage-level treasures. Chu Kuangren looked at these treasures with a lack of interest. After the volcano erupted for the first time, dozens of sage-level treasures appeared. Most of them were obtained by the Sky Prides and powerful sages. After everyone was done fighting for the treasures, the volcano erupted for the second time. This time, most of the treasures that appeared were sage-level treasures as well. However, their quality was slightly better than the previous ones. They could be considered great sage-level treasures. Many people continued to fight for them. Suddenly, Chu Kuangren's expression changed slightly. The real treasures have appeared. The volcano erupted for the third time. This time, apart from more than 10 sage-level treasures, there were also 2 boundary emperors. They were 2 fiery red crystals that emanated an incredibly dense fire-based Taoist rhyme. This is an earth flame crystal. For cultivators who cultivate the Tao of fire, this is definitely a rare treasure. If I have this earth flame crystal, I can definitely break through to become a sage ruler. A few powerful sages immediately made their moves. The Sky Prides also joined in the fight. Wang Qianting in particular looked like he was determined to get it. The 5 elements Tao that he cultivated included fire-based Tao. This crystal is mine. With a lift of his hand, a loud explosion was heard. The 5-colored ray of light transformed into a horrifying giant hand that sent the sages flying. Wang Qianting then went straight for the earth flame crystal. However, at that moment, a strange fluctuation appeared. All Wang Qianting saw was that the earth flame crystal that he was about to obtain disappeared into thin air. It disappeared right under everyone's noses. What happened? Where is it? Suddenly, someone exclaimed. The earth flame crystal that disappeared into thin air reappeared in Chu Kuangren's hand. He was casually playing with it. How did he do that? It's a spatial technique, Wang Qianting said. He was the closest to the earth flame crystal, so he sensed the spatial fluctuation. Many others did the same. Chu Kuangren must be relying on this spatial technique to attack the 5 great orthodoxies from 1,000,000 kilometers away. Spatial techniques are extremely rare. At most, cultivators can simply use the power of space, but it's extremely difficult to use it, let alone someone like him who can use it so skillfully. This fellow has too many tricks up his sleeves. Everyone discussed in low voices, feeling somewhat helpless. Chu Kuangren was right in front of them. If he wanted to compete with them, they would not stand a chance. The most they could do was snatch the things that Chu Kuangren did not want. This feeling was too suffocating. Just as everyone was exclaiming in admiration, the volcano erupted again. This time, more quasi-emperor level treasures appeared. Quick, do it. However, before they could even get close, Chu Kuangren had already used his spatial conveyor skill to move those boundary emperor-grade treasures in front of him. *CK. How are we supposed to play like this? Isn't this spatial technique a little too overpowered? Everyone's faces darkened at that. As long as Chu Kuangren wanted it, they could not even get a single strand of it. Chu Kuangren, don't you think you've gone too far by not leaving us any good stuff? One of the sages could not help but say. Chu Kuangren looked at that sage as if he was looking at an idiot. You're not happy with this? I believe many of you here have the same thought as me. Upon hearing that, the people who were standing close to him quickly retreated. I'm not. I didn't. Don't spout nonsense. That's right. Why would we be unhappy? Treasures should belong to those who are capable. Since Brother Chu has the ability, it's only natural for him to take it. Everyone glared at that sage as if they wanted to devour him. F***CKU. You can have a death wish, but don't drag us down with you. Like you? Who's as stupid as you to face Chu Kuangren head-on? Look, no one has any objections except for you. Don't you think it's your fault? Chu Kuangren said. You guys, that sage looked around and saw that no one stood up for him. He was so angry that he gritted his teeth, but he still quietly walked back to the crowd. The current Chu Kuangren was like the sun in the sky. Who would dare to go against him? Was he not afraid that one day he would be struck by a palm from the sky? At that moment, the surrounding spiritual chi suddenly surged violently and gathered towards the volcano's crater. Everyone's attention was attracted to it. A large amount of lava gushed out. The number of treasures that far exceeded the previous ones was shot out. The crowd began to fight for them. This time they were aiming for the sage-grade treasures. As for the Boundary Emperor treasures, no one dared to fight for them anymore. No one could win against Chu Kuangren. They could only fight for the sage-grade treasures that he was not interested in. Look. I think there's something in that lava. Suddenly, some of the cultivators noticed that at the bottom of the volcano, there was a ball of blazing golden light that was emanating waves of Emperor-grade energy. Chu Kuangren activated his spiritual thought. He realized that when his spiritual thought got close to that golden light, it was burned to ashes by a domineering heat. That heat could even burn his spiritual thought. Interesting, Chu Kuangren said with interest. The other's eyes were burning with passion. An Emperor-grade treasure. It's definitely an Emperor-grade treasure. It was born from the lava that was nourished by the earth chi. Could it be the legendary earthen core flame? An Emperor-grade earthen core flame at that. Some of the sky prides were ready to fight for it. Although they knew that they could not win against Chu Kuangren, they still wanted to give it a try. After all, that was the legendary Emperor Flame. Even in the 9 heavens, Emperor Flames were very rare. Every cultivator who could control an Emperor Flame had combat strength that far surpassed their peers. Chirp! At that moment, a sharp screech could be heard from afar. The distant sky was dyed red by the fiery light, and a beautiful godly phoenix with a blood-red body flew over. Wherever it passed, thousands of beasts prostrated themselves on the ground. That was the power of a divine beast. Lil Red, why is she here? Chu Kuangren was surprised. Brother, I sensed a powerful fire-based energy. This energy will be of great help to me, so I came. The godly phoenix Lil Red came before Chu Kuangren and said. The sky prides of the 9 heavens could not help but exclaim when they saw the godly phoenix. A divine beast? The lower realm has given birth to a divine beast. The rumors are true. The godly phoenix has acknowledged Chu Kuangren as its master. His luck is just too terrifying. That's a divine beast we're talking about. Even the ancient remnant beasts are inferior to it. When it grows up, it'll at least become a great emperor. No, according to the ancient legends, even a great emperor would have to retreat when faced with a divine beast that has grown up. Xiao Jingqin, Wang Tianting, and the others looked at Chu Kuangren with envy and jealousy. Chu Kuangren was already a supreme sage, and now the godly phoenix had acknowledged him as its master. Could he be the legendary child of destiny? Compared to him, the so-called sky prides like them did not even deserve to carry his shoes. Chapter 478. Tisk, if I can rope such a man to my side, he will definitely be a great help to me. Humayrin, the pride of the 9 heavens, licked her lips and thought to herself. She had to admit that Chu Kuangren really moved her heart. Her celestial appearance was extraordinary and refined. He was extremely powerful and had even been recognized by the divine phoenix as its master. Although he came from the lower domain, his background was not as powerful as those ancient orthodoxies. However, if such a genius could come to the 9 skies, there would definitely be a lot of people who wanted to rope him in, and he would be able to choose from them. The Heavenly Fox clan was not a human clan. However, he did not mind taking in such a human son-in-law. Not far away, Zhan Hongying clicked her tongue in wonder and said, "That fox seems to have taken a liking to that monster. Tisk, it's so smelly." Then, as if she thought of something, she said to the demonic hell wolf beside her, "Do you think I can get the Yellow Springs tablet back with my beauty?" The demon wolf was obviously stunned. It tilted its head and revealed a human-like suspicion in its eyes. It seemed to be saying, "You F***ck, not giving me any face at all." Zhan Hongying angrily punched the demon wolf's head. Howl, in the sky. Chu Kuangren turned a blind eye to everyone's strange gazes. Go ahead and seize the opportunity. Chu Kuangren said indifferently. Anyway, he was going to take this emperor's fire away anyway. Since this emperor's fire was of great use to divine phoenix Xiaohong, he would let it use it. All right. The divine phoenix circled in the air for a while before diving down towards the mouth of the volcano. It ignored the scorching lava and plunged in. Chu Kuangren stood tall at the mouth of the volcano like a divine sword. None of the cultivators around him dared to make a move. This scene gave Chu Kuangren an inexplicable sense of familiarity. When Lil Red was first born, it was also at the mouth of a volcano. At that time, there were countless beasts lurking around and the scene was pretty much the same as now. Chu Kuangren chuckled as he recalled something. Hearing his words, everyone's faces darkened. What does that mean? Was he comparing them to a group of demonic beasts? Umayran did not think much of it. She was originally a beast, but how could her bloodline be compared to those lowly demonic beasts? The difference between the two was like heaven and earth. In the lava, the godly phoenix transformed into a beam of red light and arrived before the ball of golden light, which was the arch fire. It swallowed it whole. This left many cultivators speechless. One had to know that that was an emperor flame. Even if a sage were to get close to it, he or she would be burnt into ashes with ease. However, the divine phoenix had swallowed it whole. A divine beast is indeed a divine beast. It is indeed very mystical. The divine phoenix is a fire elemental divine beast. Even a sage king has to approach this arch fire carefully. Only she would dare to swallow it in this world. A cultivator exclaimed in admiration. With Chu Kuangren around and the godly phoenix swallowing the emperor flame in one gulp, everyone had given up on the idea of obtaining the emperor flame. They were still here because they wanted to see what would happen to the divine phoenix after it swallowed the fire. Time flew by. After the divine phoenix swallowed the arch fire, it stayed in the lava. Boom, boom, at this moment the sky suddenly flashed with lightning and thunder. A burst of incomparably gorgeous rainbow light appeared. Layers of clouds surged and gathered at the mouth of the volcano, forming a tribulation cloud with a diameter of several dozen li. Heavenly tribulation. Could this be the divine phoenix's sage heavenly tribulation? This is the 9-colored heavenly tribulation. Everyone exclaimed. Meanwhile, Xiao Jingchen, Zhan Hongying, and the others could not help but feel the domineering aura of the heavenly tribulation. This heavenly tribulation was much stronger than theirs. They only had the 7-colored heavenly tribulation. However, this was the rare 9-colored heavenly tribulation. The 9-colored heavenly tribulation is exactly the same as the one Chu Kuangren faced back then. As expected of a divine beast. That's not right. This 9-colored heavenly tribulation is much weaker than the one Chu Kuangren faced back then. Although the domineering aura is strong, it's not as terrifying as it was back then. Chu Kuangren dragged hundreds of thousands of people along with him. How can that be compared? Not only did he attract the heavenly tribulation, but he also attracted the heavenly punishment. The crowd discussed among themselves. Some of them recalled the scene of Chu Kuangren's ascension a few years ago. That magnificent feat of dragging hundreds of thousands of people along with him was still unforgettable. It was the only one in history. Xiao Jingchen, Zhan Hongying, and the others were speechless. Dragging hundreds of thousands of people along with him? What a magnificent feat it was. Unfortunately, they did not get to witness it with their own eyes. Boom, at this moment, a red light suddenly rose from the mouth of the volcano. It was the godly phoenix. The godly phoenix soared in the sky and let out a piercing screech at the 9-colored heavenly tribulation. The might of a divine beast swept across the world. Chu Kuangren stood in the sky and looked at the godly phoenix that was releasing its boundless divine aura. He suddenly felt like his daughter had grown up. Aren't you worried about her? Beside him, the white-robed general asked Chu Kuangren curiously. She'll have to face this sooner or later. I believe she'll be able to get through this safely. She's a divine beast after all. Chu Kuangren laughed. The light of the heavenly tribulation descended and enveloped the godly phoenix. A tribulation lightning bolt as thick as a water bucket suddenly struck down. The godly phoenix flapped her wings and shattered that powerful tribulation lightning bolt with her bare wings. Her physical strength was truly powerful. Following that, the second, third, and fourth tribulation lightning bolts struck down one after another. However, they were all blocked by the godly phoenix without exception. It was not until the sixth tribulation lightning bolt descended that a gigantic colorful lightning python descended. Only then did the godly phoenix's body ignite with surges of golden flames. She had refined most of the emperor flames that she had swallowed earlier and integrated it into her own flames, making them much stronger. As the flames burned on the surface of her body, they collided with the lightning python. The lightning python dissipated. The godly phoenix returned to the mouth of the volcano, her golden eyes staring at the tribulation clouds in the sky. The flames on her body burned as her Taoist rhyme rose steadily. The seventh tribulation lightning was brewing. A ferocious lightning dragon was gradually formed. "Come," the godly phoenix said loudly. Chu Kuangren did not know if it was an illusion, but he felt that her voice had changed a little. It sounded more mature. "Roar." The lightning python let out an angry roar and suddenly descended. The flames on the godly phoenix's body burned fiercely, condensing into a gigantic fireball that flew out and collided with the lightning python. Amidst the explosion, the flames and lightning collided and spread out in all directions. The lava in the volcano tumbled and continuously spewed out. The seventh tribulation lightning was over. What followed was the eighth tribulation lightning. The eighth tribulation lightning was even more powerful. Even with the godly phoenix's strength, it still suffered quite a bit of damage. A large number of feathers fell off and phoenix blood splattered everywhere. The cultivators present could not help but gulp when they saw the feathers and phoenix blood. Those were all incredible treasures. However, under the 9-colored heavenly tribulation, no one dared to act rashly. Chu Kuangren watched from afar. He was the person closest to the heavenly tribulation, and when he saw that the godly phoenix was injured, a hint of heartache appeared in his eyes. He gripped the descendant's self-sword at his waist tightly. If the godly phoenix showed signs of not being able to withstand the 9th tribulation lightning, he would attack without hesitation. Although that would disrupt the godly phoenix's ascension and prevent her foundation from reaching a perfect state, it was still better than losing her life. "Brother, I can do it." At that moment, the godly phoenix spoke. She stood up and looked at the tribulation clouds that were brewing the last tribulation lightning with a determined look on her face. Even though she was injured, her pride did not diminish. After all, she was a supreme divine beast. Chapter 479. The godly phoenix stood proudly as her body surged with divine radiance. In the sky, the 9th tribulation lightning had already struck down from the 9-colored tribulation cloud, forming a huge lightning pillar that enveloped the godly phoenix. Boundless lightning energy wreaked havoc on the divine phoenix's body, constantly destroying it. Large amounts of flames surged on her body to resist the tribulation lightning. The godly phoenix's body continued to crack, and blood splattered everywhere. However, she still persevered. Her golden eyes were filled with determination as the spiritual power within her body surged to fight against the tribulation lightning. Finally, the tribulation lightning dissipated. The godly phoenix fell to the ground, her body charred black. Her original noble appearance was nowhere to be seen. She was already on her last breath. Chu Kuangren breathed a sigh of relief. As long as the godly phoenix was not dead, he could use the spring breeze healing technique to heal her. Just as he was about to go up, the godly phoenix stopped him with a stare. Then, the godly phoenix's head tilted to the side as she ended her own life. She fell to the ground, no longer emitting any aura. "Dead? The divine beast is dead? Are you kidding me?" Even a divine beast would not be able to survive such a terrifying 9-colored heavenly tribulation. Sigh, what a shame. That was a divine beast we're talking about. The crowd discussed among themselves as they looked at the godly phoenix with pity. Some of them looked at the godly phoenix's body with fiery eyes. Even if it was a dead divine beast, it was still a divine beast. The energy contained in its body was definitely a treasure to any cultivator. The phoenix marrow, blood, and guts were all priceless items. Sect leader, white-robed general walked up to Chu Kuangren wanting to comfort him. However, he was surprised to find Chu Kuangren standing there calmly. He was not as sad as he imagined. Could it be that Chu Kuangren's relationship with the godly phoenix was not as good as he thought? Nirvana state, progress 51%. Taoist runes circulated in Chu Kuangren's eyes. The Eye of Revelation had obtained the godly phoenix's current status. That was why he was not sad. The godly phoenix was not dead yet. She was reborn. Boom. At that moment, a loud explosion came from the sky. A pitch-black giant hand descended and grabbed the godly phoenix. That gigantic hand contained an extremely terrifying domineering aura, and the windstorm it stirred up was enough to force White-Robed General, who was standing beside Chu Kuangren, to retreat by nearly 100 meters. The surrounding cultivators, including the geniuses from the 9 heavens, backed away. Their expressions changed slightly when they saw the giant hand descending from the sky. This pressure, it's a quasi-emperor. A quasi-emperor has made his move. He wants the divine phoenix's corpse. The crowd turned pale with fright. He did not expect the fall of the divine phoenix to attract the covetous eyes of a quasi-emperor. Just as the giant hand was suppressing everything and forcing everyone back. Humph! A cold snort sounded. Chu Kuangren stood tall and straight like a sword, unmoving like a mountain. He raised his hand slightly and casually, but when he struck out with his palm, a terrifying storm swept out in all directions, shaking the entire volcano. A vast golden palm print condensed and blasted towards the giant black hand. When the two forces collided, the impact caused the entire volcano to crack open. The mountains and rivers within 10,000 kilometers trembled. A muffled groan came from the void. A black-robed old man was knocked out of the void. Chu Kuangren activated his Eye of Revelation. Bai Lian, Boundary Emperor, cultivates the dark flaming sky-devouring art, which allows one to devour fire attribute treasures to increase their strength. Devouring fire attribute treasures to increase his strength? No wonder he would attack the godly phoenix. If one were to ask what the most precious fire attribute treasures in this world were, what could possibly compare to the godly phoenix's corpse? The Supreme Sage's strength is indeed formidable. Boundary Emperor Bai Lian looked at Chu Kuangren with a hint of awe in his eyes. The Supreme Sage had always existed in ancient legends. Now that he had appeared in this world, the strength he displayed was indeed terrifying. Bai Lian's cultivation level was already considered one of the best among the Boundary Emperors, but he was at a disadvantage when he clashed with Chu Kuangren earlier. How do you want to die for coveting the godly phoenix? Chu Kuangren said indifferently. The descendant's self-sword at his waist revealed half of its blade, and a chilling sword-based Taoist rhyme swept out in all directions, engulfing Bai Lian. Sect Leader Chu, why are you so angry? This godly phoenix is already dead. I'm willing to exchange it with some treasures. What do you think? Bai Lian said. Not long after he woke up from the forbidden area, he sensed the opportunity of fortune in this volcano eruption, so he came here to take a look. He did not expect to encounter a godly phoenix ascension here. This godly phoenix's body would be of great help to him. If he could refine it, his strength and potential would increase by leaps and bounds. It would not be impossible for him to become the strongest cultivator below the emperors. How could he miss out on such an opportunity of fortune? Even 10 of your lives won't be enough to exchange for a single feather of the godly phoenix. Chu Kuangren said coldly. The descendant's self-sword at his waist was instantly unsheathed, and a purple sword ray shot out. Its peerlessly sharp Taoist rhyme instantly locked onto Bai Lian. Bai Lian did not expect Chu Kuangren to attack without hesitation. He quickly blocked the attack. The surrounding spiritual qi surged. This was a volcano, so the fire attribute qi was extremely dense. To Bai Lian, this was the best battlefield. As he attacked with his palm, the flow of flames converged into a storm. The sword and palm collided. Both of them were forced back. Although most of the impact was borne by the two of them, the energy that was released still sent many cultivators at the scene flying. Bai Lian's body trembled from the impact. Although he was a boundary emperor, he still felt a little short of breath. However, when he saw that Chu Kuangren was not affected at all, he could not help but be speechless. How could this guy's sage body be so powerful? Dark flames engulf. Bai Lian raised his hand and absorbed the fire attribute spiritual qi from the surroundings, which turned into streaks of black flames in the void. The flames condensed into a monstrous flow of flames, and an extremely domineering Taoist rhyme filled the air as it headed towards Chu Kuangren to devour him. Heaven-slaying sword-drawing technique. Chu Kuangren raised his hand and unleashed a sword attack. That sword attack contained an even more domineering aura, and it even contained an extremely powerful heavenly punishment Taoist rhyme. With the support of the heavenly punishment Taoist rhyme, the power of Chu Kuangren's sword attack was raised to an extremely terrifying level. The sword qi tore apart the terrifying black flames in an instant. Bai Lian's eyes narrowed, and he struck out with both his palms at the same time. Although he barely managed to block the sword light, a bloody wound appeared on his palms. What a powerful sword ray. What's that Taoist rhyme? My Taoist rhyme is being suppressed by it. It's like heavenly might. Is this guy's strength really that strong? A series of question marks flashed across Bai Lian's mind. However, Bai Lian did not have time to think as the sword qi rushed towards him. His Taoist rhyme was being suppressed by the heavenly punishment Taoist rhyme, and he could not overpower Chu Kuangren in terms of foundation. It did not take long for him to retreat. The *MN it. It's not good for me if this goes on. Bai Lin thought to himself. Although it was embarrassing for a boundary emperor like him to be suppressed by a sage, his life was of course more important than his pride. In a flash, his figure turned into a ray of fire and flew into the distance. Obviously he knew that he was no match for Chu Kuangren, so he fled. Where do you think you're going? Chu Kuangren let out an indifferent roar. His spiritual thoughts surged and a huge silver-white talisman appeared in the void. It was the spatial freeze rune. Chapter 480. Bai Lin was ready to escape, but Chu Kuangren's spatial freeze rune slowed him down tremendously. What? Bai Lin's expression changed. He felt as if the space around him had turned into a quagmire. If it were not for his boundary emperor cultivation level, he would have been frozen in mid-air. However, even if he could move, his speed was like that of a snail in Chu Kuangren's eyes. Stay. Chu Kuangren sneered and swung the descendant self-sword in his hand. A piercingly cold sword-based Taoist rhyme surged and engulfed Bai Lin in the blink of an eye. The piercingly cold Tao runes mixed with powerful spiritual power were wantonly cutting his body. The dignified quasi-emperor let out a blood-curdling scream at this moment. He desperately urged his spiritual power to cover the surface of his body with the flow of fire, trying to use this method to block the invasion of the sword chi. However, everything he did was futile. The power of the sword chi was far beyond his imagination. That was a sword chi that was infused with the heavenly punishment Taoist rhyme. No, if this goes on, I'll really die here. I've only just awakened. How can I die here? I can't let this happen. A look of determination appeared in Bai Lin's eyes. His body suddenly exploded, and a bloody mist blossomed in the air like a demonic flower. However, an unimaginably powerful and terrifying flow of fire swept out immediately after. The expressions of the spectators in the surroundings changed drastically when they saw the flame current sweeping out. This power was enough to be fatal even to a Saint King. This is bad. Retreat. A boundary emperor was forced to self-destruct. This is too terrifying. Faced with the oncoming flame flow, everyone retreated frantically. What they suffered was only the aftermath. Chu Kuangren was the first to bear the brunt of Bai Lin's self-destruction. Using self-destruction to break through the seal of the freeze rune is quite daring. However, don't you think you can escape death just like that? You must be dreaming. Chu Kuangren said indifferently. He raised his hand and gathered runes to form an indestructible runic barrier in front of him, blocking all the flame flow. Then he saw a ray of light dashing out from the flame flow and into the distance. That was Bai Lin's spiritual body. Chu Kuangren's spiritual thought surged out, intending to use the spatial conveyor technique to catch up. However, as if he suddenly thought of something, he purposely slowed down the speed of his spiritual thought. I'd like to see where you can run to. He suddenly recalled that when he was killing Quasi-Emperor Wuxia, someone had come out to stop him. Could there be some connection between these quasi-emperors? He could use Bai Lin to verify it. In any case, the other party would not be able to escape from his grasp. Just as Chu Kuangren was chasing after Bai Lin with his spiritual thought, the godly phoenix at the mouth of the volcano suddenly opened its eyes. Its charred body was once again lit up with golden flames, and the godly phoenix's aura continued to rise. It's alive. The divine phoenix is alive. The divine phoenix is not dead. This is Nirvana. The legend was true. The divine phoenix could really be reborn. Moreover, the divine phoenix will become even more powerful after its Nirvana rebirth. The crowd of cultivators exclaimed. Accompanied by a long howl, the godly phoenix stood up and flew into the sky. The charred skin and feathers on its body continued to fall off as a large amount of fire-based chi entered its body, causing the golden Nirvana flames to burn even more vigorously. It was also continuously rebuilding its body. At that moment, all the birds in the firmament star looked towards the godly phoenix's direction and let out high-pitched cries as if they were celebrating. The myriad birds worship. Waves of Taoist rhymes reverberated in the sky. It was as if the heavens and earth were congratulating the divine beast for its advancement. The Nirvana is complete. Chu Kuangren smiled. His spiritual thought had also captured the last place Bai Lin's spiritual body had gone to. Lil Red, let's go. I'll bring you to kill someone. Chu Kuangren lifted his arm and an incredibly mysterious spatial energy enveloped himself and the godly phoenix. The godly phoenix Lil Red trusted Chu Kuangren completely, so it did not resist the sudden appearance of this spatial energy. In an instant, the human and the godly phoenix disappeared right under everyone's noses. Inside a cave abode in the Nether Abyss Valley. An old man with a white beard, a black robe and slightly sunken eyes was resting with his eyes closed. Suddenly the old man's eyelids twitched. He opened his eyes and said in surprise, "I don't know why, but I've been feeling uneasy lately, especially after I met that Chu Kuangren." The old man could not help but reveal a hint of anger in his eyes when he thought of Chu Kuangren. He swore that Chu Kuangren was the most arrogant and despicable sage he had ever met. How dare he kill a boundary emperor of the Nether Abyss Valley right in front of him? However, at the same time, he had to admit that Chu Kuangren was also the most talented cultivator he had ever met. In this era of great battles, with his capabilities, it's very likely that he will become an emperor. Unless necessary, it's best not to have any conflict with him. The old man mumbled helplessly, "Valley Lord, save me." At that moment, a panicked cry for help came from afar. The entire Nether Abyss Valley heard it. The expression of the old man, who was the Nether Abyss Valley Lord, changed slightly. "That's Baileen's voice. What happened to him?" Baileen, who was left with only a spiritual body, rushed into the Nether Abyss Valley in a panic and screamed for help. His voice also alerted all the boundary emperors in the Nether Abyss Valley who were either slowly awakening or had already awakened. One by one they released their spiritual thoughts to check on him. The results of the inspection shocked everyone. "That's Baileen, right? Why is he only left with a spiritual body?" To be able to make Baileen so flustered, who forced him to this state? Could it be that the quasi-emperors of the other forbidden lands made a move? Everyone has just awakened. Who would have fought Baileen so quickly? Just when everyone was in a state of shock. The void above the Nether Abyss Valley suddenly distorted, and two figures slowly walked out from it. An extremely domineering aura descended. Those two figures were Chu Kuangren and the godly phoenix who had chased after Baileen. The heavenly punishment's aura and the divine beast's aura swept across the entire Nether Abyss Valley, shocking all the boundary emperors who were hiding there. It's a divine beast. It's not just a divine beast. That young man beside him is the supreme sage who has been causing a commotion in the outside world recently. I can't believe this person would suddenly come to the Nether Abyss Valley. It seems that Baileen's current state is related to this person. In the outside world, only this person has such capabilities. Meanwhile, the Nether Abyss Valley Lord, who was in the cave abode, almost spat out a mouthful of blood. He was just thinking of not provoking Chu Kuangren if it was not necessary, but Baileen had brought him directly to the Nether Abyss Valley. Moreover, by the looks of it, he did not come with good intentions. However, the Nether Abyss Valley Lord was the owner of a forbidden area, and Baileen was a member of the Nether Abyss Valley. He could not just sit back and watch. Hence, he sighed helplessly and instantly disappeared. Meanwhile, above the Nether Abyss Valley, Chu Kuangren scanned the entire Nether Abyss Valley with his spiritual thoughts and found a large number of seals. It seemed that there were many powerful existences hidden within these seals, preventing his spiritual thoughts from probing inside. One of the 10 great forbidden areas, the Nether Abyss Valley, is actually a hiding place for a group of boundary emperors. Interesting. Chu Kuangren smirked. Chapter 481. Chu Kuangren and the godly phoenix descended upon the Nether Abyss Valley, and their domineering aura swept out like a hurricane. All the boundary emperors in the Nether Abyss Valley were shaken. Then Chu Kuangren looked at Baileen's spiritual form not far away, and a black chain suddenly appeared in his hand. That chain was the soul retriever that he had not used for a long time. The soul retriever shot out like a bolt of lightning, and in the blink of an eye, it had captured Baileen's soul. Then Chu Kuangren channeled his spiritual power and yanked, instantly dragging Baileen before him. The boundary emperor was like a dog that had been tied up. There was no way for him to escape. At that moment, the Nether Abyss Valley Lord appeared in the void. He looked at Chu Kuangren and said, "Brother Chu, I wonder what kind of grudge you have with the Nether Abyss Valley? Why do you keep targeting us?" Chu Kuangren was slightly surprised to hear that voice, but he chuckled. "This voice? You're the one who stopped me from killing Boundary Emperor Wuxia in the Heavenly Golden Palace. Looks like I've come to the right place. Valley Lord, save me. Save me." Baileen cried out as if he had seen his savior the moment he saw the Nether Abyss Valley Lord. Chu Kuangren, who was beside him, tugged on the soul retriever, and an extremely chilling energy erupted. Even a boundary emperor like Baileen could not help but shiver. The other boundary emperors who were observing from the shadows could not help but feel a little fearful. That chain isn't that high in grade. It's only a sage ruler weapon, but it's specifically used to target souls. That's quite scary. Not to mention that Baileen is in his spiritual form. He's defenseless against that chain. The Nether Abyss Valley Lord's expression turned even uglier when he saw Bai Lian's miserable state. Chu Kuangren, what do you want? What do I want? Chu Kuangren raised an eyebrow and sneered. I should be the one asking what the Nether Abyss Valley wants. First, Boundary Emperor Wuxia stopped me from destroying the Heavenly Golden Palace, and now this B***starred wants to take over the godly Phoenix's body while she's undergoing nirvana. Now you're asking me what I want? I'd like to ask what the Nether Abyss Valley wants. Do you really think that I, Chu Kuangren, am a pushover? Chu Kuangren's tone was so cold that it was freezing at the end of his sentence. The domineering aura on his body rose to its peak as dark clouds gathered in the sky behind him. Thunder rumbled and a terrifying heavenly aura swept across, causing the entire Nether Abyss Valley to tremble. The wrath of a single person was like the wrath of the heavens. Even a quasi-emperor would be horrified to see such a method. You. The Nether Valley Master was rendered speechless. What, you have nothing to say? Chu Kuangren said calmly. Then he abruptly pulled the Soul Retriever and activated his spiritual power, pushing the Soul Retriever's power to its limit. An extremely chilling energy instantly enveloped Bai Lian, and his spiritual body began to crack before it shattered into countless light spots. Chu Kuangren then activated his universal cauldron physique to absorb a huge amount of soul energy that leaked out. Upon seeing this, the Lord of Nether Valley's face darkened with anger. Again. Chu Kuangren had once again killed the Nether Abyss Valley's Boundary Emperor in front of him. Chu Kuangren, you're forcing me to attack. The Nether Valley Master said coldly as the Taoist rime on his body continued to rise. He was a top-notch existence in this world. Even in the 9 heavens apart from the Emperors he was still a top-notch powerhouse. He had his own temper. Chu Kuangren had repeatedly slapped him in the face so he was already furious. As for the idea of not provoking Chu Kuangren, it had long been thrown to the back of his mind. After all, Chu Kuangren had come looking for trouble. When you tried to stop me from killing Boundary Emperor Wuxia, I've already told you not to let me know where you are. Otherwise I'll come and kill you. Chu Kuangren chuckled. I've always been a man of my words. See, I'm here now. Then you can stay here. The Nether Valley Master yelled, and the Taoist rhyme that belonged to a top-notch Boundary Emperor instantly gushed out and surged towards Chu Kuangren like a tidal wave. Chu Kuangren did not back down. Instead he unleashed his Taoist rhyme to fight back. That was the heavenly punishment Taoist rhyme. There was no Taoist rhyme in this world that could overpower him. The Valley Master has made his move. It's been years since I've seen the Valley Master in action. A supreme sage? I wonder just what level his strength has reached. The Boundary Emperors in the Nether Valley were discussing among themselves. However, none of them made a move. Although the Nether Valley Master was the Nether Valley Master in name, his status was not much higher than the other Boundary Emperors. Strictly speaking, he was only the Nether Valley Master, not the Boundary Emperors. For example, the Nether Valley was like an inn, and the Boundary Emperors were the guests staying in the inn. They had already paid a lot of resources when they moved into the Nether Valley. As the master of this place, the Nether Valley Master was naturally furious that his guests were killed one after another. However, he did not really want to avenge those who had died. He merely wanted to regain his dignity. The Nether Abyss Valley Lord knew that Chu Kuangren's strength was extraordinary and could not be treated as an ordinary sage. Hence, he did not dare to be careless in this battle. He raised his arm and took out a dark red longsword. The blade of the sword was covered with a layer of fine patterns that resembled dragon scales. A surge of resentment that was so dense that it almost materialized emanated from it. This is the dragon scale blood saber. It was once tainted with the blood of a true dragon. A long time ago, I've used this saber to slay countless strong enemies and absorb their resentment into it. Although it's only a Boundary Emperor weapon, I'm confident that even a true Emperor weapon wouldn't be able to defeat it. The Nether Valley Master held the dragon scale blood saber in his hand and said proudly, "Have you seen a true Emperor weapon before?" Chu Kuangren said calmly and kept the Soul Retriever. With a lift of his hand, a golden trident slowly appeared out of thin air with a surge of Emperor's aura. The Emperor weapon, Empyrean Neptune's halberd, had reappeared. With Chu Kuangren's current cultivation level, the Empyrean Neptune's halberd's power was even more powerful. The moment he held the halberd in his hand, it was as if he had truly transformed into an emperor who could control the ocean. A large amount of torrential force instantly filled the entire Nether Valley. It was as if everyone could hear the sound of a tsunami. No, it was not as if. Everyone saw that the extremely dense torrential force had actually condensed into seawater in the air. Thunder rumbled in the sky, followed by a torrential downpour. In the blink of an eye, the torrential rain had drowned half of the Nether Valley, turning many valleys into a swamp. Come, I'll show you the power of an emperor weapon. Chu Kuangren held the Empyrean Neptune's halberd in his hand and swung it down. The sound of a tsunami reverberated through the air as the majestic torrential force wrapped around the Empyrean Neptune's halberd. It was as if an entire ocean was crashing towards the Nether Valley Master. The Nether Valley Master's expression changed slightly as he raised his saber to block the attack. The collision between the Empyrean Neptune's halberd and the dragon-scale blood saber let out a deafening sound as horrifying palm chi gushed out. Meanwhile, the Nether Valley Master could only feel an incomparably terrifying force pouring towards him. His arm was almost broken by that tremendous force, and the dragon-scale blood saber almost slipped out of his grasp. With just one attack, the Nether Valley Master was already at a disadvantage. Chapter 482. With a loud crash, the Nether Valley Lord was forced back by hundreds of meters. The dragon-scale blood saber in his hand buzzed incessantly, and he had to channel his spiritual power to stabilize it. An emperor weapon. This is an emperor weapon. I can't believe he can unleash the power of an emperor weapon to such an extent. No wonder he's a supreme sage. The Nether Valley Lord exclaimed to himself. Following that, the Taoist rhyme on his body circulated, and he unleashed a blood-red saber ray at Chu Kuangren. The blood-red saber ray was like a rainbow, and wherever it went, the heavens and earth were dyed red. Surges of resentment surged out in a frenzy, disturbing one's mind. This was the Nether Valley Lord's ultimate technique. Although it was only a boundary emperor technique, it was created by him, and it contained the essence of his Taoist techniques. This emperor technique could unleash his combat strength to its fullest, and it was much more useful than the emperor techniques created by others. This was also the most important cultivation in the boundary emperor realm, to forge one's own Tao. Judging from the techniques that the Nether Valley Lord had unleashed, he had already taken a big step forward in his Tao. Based on this alone, he was considered one of the top boundary emperors. Unfortunately, the person standing before him now was Chu Kuangren, who was wielding an emperor weapon. Facing the blood-red saber ray, Chu Kuangren's expression was as cold as ice. He wielded the halberd in his hand firmly, unaffected by the resentment chi. His Taoist core was no weaker than the emperors of old. How could a small amount of resentment affect him? The halberd that carried the majestic torrential force smashed onto the saber ray. With a boom, the saber ray shattered, but the powerful torrential force did not stop at all. Like a tsunami, it continued to surge toward the Nether Valley Lord. Although half of it had been destroyed by the blood-red saber ray, the remaining force was still extremely terrifying. Break. The Lord of the Nether Abyss Valley slashed out with his long saber, splitting the torrent of water into two and sending it to his side. As he swung the saber in his hand, a surge of Taoist rhyme that was even more powerful than before circulated around him. Just as he was about to swing his saber, silver-white patterns appeared out of nowhere in the void and formed into a gigantic silver-white rune. It was the Spatial Freeze rune. As soon as the Spatial Freeze rune appeared, the surrounding void was sealed. Even with the ability of the Nether Valley Master, he was still a moment too slow. For experts of their level, a split second was enough to determine life and death. Today, someone else will be in charge of the Nether Abyss Valley. As Chu Kuangren spoke, his halberd mercilessly slashed downwards. Just as the enormous torrent of water was about to hit the Lord of the Nether Valley, an astonishing spatial fluctuation suddenly erupted from his body. At the last moment, it forcibly broke through the spatial seal of the Freeze talisman and turned into a white light shield that enveloped him. A great shift talisman. Chu Kuangren was slightly surprised. The Nether Valley Lord was really decisive. Once he realized that he was no match for Chu Kuangren, who was wielding an emperor weapon, he decided to leave on the spot. This greater teleportation talisman contained extremely powerful spatial energy. Although it had broken through the seal of the Space Solidify talisman, it was still a moment too slow. At that instant, Chu Kuangren's halberd had already slashed down. The enormous power of water instantly tore the Nether Valley Lord's right arm apart. After a scream, the Nether Valley Lord disappeared. Chu Kuangren's spiritual thought surged and covered the entire firmament star, but he still could not find the Nether Valley Lord. This was not unexpected. As a boundary emperor, it was normal for him to have some methods to hide himself and prevent others from prying on him with his spiritual thought. He raised his hand and took the dragon-scale blood saber and yin and yang ring from the severed arm into his hand. With a slight movement of his spiritual thought, the various treasures inside the yin and yang ring came into view. Wow, this Nether Valley Lord is quite wealthy. He has so many good things. In the yin and yang ring alone, there were 20 to 30 boundary emperor-grade treasures. There were even a few emperor-grade treasures. However, they were all used for healing. If they could be used to improve one's foundation, the Nether Valley Lord would have used them long ago instead of keeping them until now. These items were not of much use to Chu Kuangren. After all, he had the immortal body. However, it was a good idea to keep them as the foundation of the Black Heaven sect. Now, is there anyone else who is unhappy that I killed Boundary Emperor Wuxia and Bai Lian? Chu Kuangren kept everything away and looked down at the Nether Valley Lord. He knew that many boundary emperors were watching him. After he asked the question, not a single person said a word. With an emperor weapon in hand, Chu Kuangren had defeated the Nether Valley Lord in just a few moves and forced him to flee. With such combat strength, no one in the Nether Valley Lord could be a match for Chu Kuangren in a one-on-one fight. As for ganging up on Chu Kuangren, they did not have a deep grudge against him. There was no need for them to fight Chu Kuangren to the death for Boundary Emperor Wuxia and Bai Lian. These boundary emperors had lived for a very long time, but they valued their lives more than anything else. Hence, they were not willing to put themselves in danger. If that's the case, I don't mind making a few more friends. I wonder if any of you boundary emperors are willing to show yourselves? Chu Kuangren suddenly said. During his battle with the Nether Valley Lord, he had more or less figured out the relationship between these people and the Nether Valley Lord. They were not superiors and subordinates, nor were they friends. They were more like a group of strangers who had never interacted with each other before. Since they were not enemies, Chu Kuangren did not mind interacting with these boundary emperors. Even if he did not befriend them, it was not a bad idea to become acquainted with them. After all, they were the top group of people in the Firmament Star. The boundary emperors were stunned when they heard Chu Kuangren's name. For a moment they could not figure out what Chu Kuangren meant by that. However, they were not stupid. After thinking about it carefully, they could roughly guess what he meant. It seems that this person is not just a simple brute. This person is so talented that he can be said to be world-shaking. If we can befriend him, it would be a good thing. If that's the case, then show yourselves. Not long after, several figures flew out from all over the Nether Valley Lord. These people were all current boundary emperors. Chu Kuangren activated his Eye of Revelation, and the information of the people in front of him was reflected in his eyes. Boundary Emperor Fang Yun cultivates the Black Water Turbid Wave Scripture, specializes in water-based Taoism. Shadow Demon Boundary Emperor, his true form is a shadow snake, has the Divine Shadow Clone Technique. Boundary Emperor Tian Shui Frost Physique, cultivates the 9 Frosty Sky Sword Art, specializes in ice-based Taoism. One by one the information of the boundary emperors appeared, and Chu Kuangren memorized them one by one. Only by knowing oneself and one's enemy could one emerge victorious. Who knew if they would face each other in the future, so it would not be wrong to learn more about them first. My name is Chu Kuangren, the Black Heaven sect leader. Greetings, fellow Taoists. Chu Kuangren smiled gently at the crowd. His smile was so warm that it felt like a spring breeze. Coupled with his otherworldly appearance and temperament, it was hard not to have a good impression of him. The boundary emperors did not know what to say. Was the person who came to the Nether Valley to pick a fight, who was so domineering and arrogant, and this fairy-like man in front of them the same person? This change in attitude was too fast, wasn't it? Greetings, Brother Chu. Although we've lived here for a long time, we've heard of Brother Chu's great name. A supreme sage that is rarely seen in the past and present is truly admirable. Yes, he's a peerless sky pride. Although the boundary emperors still had some grudges, they still pretended to be polite. Chapter 483. Chu Kuangren, who came to the Nether Abyss Valley to pick a fight and even chased away the Nether Abyss Valley Lord, suddenly became an honored guest of the Nether Abyss Valley. He entered the Nether Abyss Valley and arrived at a cave abode. He was not afraid that these people would do anything to him. He might not be a match for all of them, but it was more than enough for him to protect himself. However, to ensure the Godly Phoenix's safety, he first used the spatial conveyor technique to send the Godly Phoenix back to the Black Heaven sect. Inside the Nether Abyss Valley, Chu Kuangren gathered with a group of boundary emperors. They talked a lot about everything under the sun, and Chu Kuangren also had a lot of things that he wanted to learn from them. For example, he wanted to know if there were other boundary emperors like them in the other forbidden areas. The answer he got was yes, and there were quite a few of them. Among the 10 great forbidden areas, besides the ancient battlefield and the misty ocean, The other 8 forbidden areas all had strong cultivators from the ancient era. It's rare for everyone to gather together. Why don't we have a Taoist discussion? At that moment, a boundary emperor suggested. That's a good suggestion. Normally, everyone is either sleeping or staying in seclusion. It's rare that we're all gathered here today. Why don't we discuss the Tao and verify whether we've regressed over the years? It's pretty good. That's right. Besides, Brother Chu is here too. I'm very curious about your Tao technique realm. Chu Kuangren smiled. I'm fine with that. He was also curious about how powerful his Tao technique realm was now. Apart from Chu Kuangren, the rest were all boundary emperors, and there were more than 10 of them. When the Taoist discussion began, the first to display her Taoist rhyme was a female cultivator named Boundary Emperor Tian Shui. She specialized in ice-based Tao, and the moment her Taoist rhyme appeared, the surrounding temperature dropped to freezing point. Then, a sword of ice and snow formed above her head. The other boundary emperors also began to display their Taoist rhymes. There were water-based Taoist Tao, flame Taoist Tao, and the 5 elements Taoist rhymes. More than 10 different Taoist rhymes intertwined and collided in the void, forming a beautiful Taoist painting. The entire Nether Abyss Valley was shocked. Chu Kuangren looked at the Taoist painting thoughtfully before he released his own Taoist rhyme. It was an extremely sharp Taoist rhyme that could tear the heavens and the earth apart. His Taoist rhyme entered the painting and almost tore it apart. What a powerful sword Taoist rhyme. As expected of a supreme sage, his level of Tao techniques completely surpasses other sages. When I was still a saint, I wasn't even a tenth of his. All the quasi-emperors exclaimed. The Tao discussion continued. The Tao of the dozen or so sub-emperors each had their own unique characteristics. However, Chu Kuangren was a little special. He knew too many techniques, including many emperor techniques. From the initial heaven-slaying sword-drawing technique to the sword chi clones, Raging God's Fist, Heart-Piercing Finger, Heaven's Morning Palm, and the Tathagata Rebirth Mantra, all sorts of Taoist rhymes appeared on his body. There was clearly only one person, but he was as resplendent as 10-odd quasi-emperors. Everyone exclaimed in surprise, calling him a monster in their hearts. After a round of Taoist discussion, everyone was amazed by the depth of Chu Kuangren's understanding of Tao techniques. However, he himself was deep in thought and did not look happy at all. Fellow Chu's comprehension of the Tao is indeed unprecedented. Even we old fellows can't compare to it. However, the Tao that Fellow Chu comprehended is the Tao of others in the end, and not your own Tao. An elderly boundary emperor said. He was the strongest boundary emperor in the Nether Abyss Valley apart from the Nether Abyss Valley Lord. He could tell what Chu Kuangren was thinking about with just a glance. Chu Kuangren nodded slightly. You're right, brother. The Tao of others may be powerful, but only by walking one's own Tao can one reach the peak. The old man continued. That was also the cultivation of a boundary emperor. The boundary emperors present might have learned many Tao techniques in the past, but now they only wanted to walk on their own Tao of cultivation. After all, no matter how powerful the Tao of others was, it was still the Tao of others. Blindly imitating and chasing after others would only lead one's life. Moreover, every emperor was also a strong cultivator who had walked on their own Tao and followed it to the end. My own Tao. Chu Kuangren murmured. Actually, Fellow Chu's comprehension of Tao arts isn't inferior to their creators, and it's even to the extent of surpassing them. Choosing one to walk to the extreme and transform it into one's own Tao isn't impossible. Some emperors have done this. Or perhaps you can walk on the path of smelting all techniques and turning them into one. This is also a possibility. Brother Chu, you have the transcendent coalescence Taoist physique and the exquisite 9 orifices sword heart. Perhaps you can walk on the single sword cleaving technique Tao. That's a top-notch Tao. One of the boundary emperors said. Watch your words. The elderly boundary emperor glared at the 2 boundary emperors. That was one's own Tao, and outsiders should not step into it. One must break through it himself. The 2 boundary emperors knew that they had misspoken, so they did not say anything more. Single sword cleaving technique Tao. Chu Kuangren was deep in thought. In his early years he had walked on this path and he was still walking on it. However, aside from the single sword cleaving technique Tao, he knew many other things. Was this really the Tao that he needed? Everything that he had learned in his life flashed through his mind. Sword techniques, Buddhist techniques, fist techniques, finger techniques, palm techniques, talisman Tao, alchemy Tao, there were too many. He knew too many things and every one of them was top-notch. However, he did not feel proud at all. He was thinking, which of these Taos is the most suitable for me? Should I give up on some Daos and focus on a Dao that belongs to me? Chu Kuangren was deep in thought. His thoughts were gradually pulled back to more than 10 years ago, when he had just entered the world. That day the weather was bright and sunny. He and Lan Yu walked out of the Black Heaven Sect's mountain gate, and Honorable Xian Qi and the others sent them off. Before he left, he said that he was the only one who stood out from the crowd, which made him a thorn in the side of the Sky Prides. His path of cultivation also began with that sentence. Since then he had defeated Sky Prides, killed powerful enemies, challenged secret realms, slaughtered demonic cultivators and destroyed orthodoxies. Until now, not only was he invincible among his peers, but he was also the strongest in the world. Ever since he entered the world he had never been defeated. That's right. Never. Chu Kuangren had never been defeated in 10,000 battles. He was the first person in history to do so. His path was also the path that no one had ever walked since ancient times. Since ancient times, who dared to say they were invincible? Who dared to say they were undefeated? He dared. Chu Kuangren wanted to walk on the Tao of invincibility. I'm invincible. It did not matter what Tao he cultivated or what techniques he cultivated. Sword techniques, fist techniques, palm techniques and runes did not matter at all. All of these were just tricks. He was invincible and his heart was invincible. Any Tao or technique would be invincible in his hands. Chu Kuangren's eyes became clearer and brighter. An indescribably terrifying aura swept out from his body. This aura was completely different from the Taoist rhymes that he had displayed before. It contained a strong sense of confidence, and anyone who saw Chu Kuangren now could not ignore his existence. That kind of aura was enough to sweep the world and suppress everything. As for the other Taoist rhymes on his body, they were all contained in that aura. The expressions of all the quasi-emperors present changed slightly. He has found the Tao that he wants to walk on. What a terrifying aura. It looks like this Tao of his is not going to be easy. Oh my god, he's found his Tao just like that? That's too fast. This guy is really a freak. Chapter 484. A person's Tao was not something that could be easily found. In other words, a person's Tao was a summary of their own cultivation path. If a cultivator could not find a Tao that suited them, it would be difficult for them to reach the peak. The boundary emperors had spent countless hours to verify and speculate before they finally found their own Tao. However, Chu Kuangren was able to find it just like that. Moreover, it seemed like the two of them were very compatible with each other. There was nothing out of the ordinary about it at all. Congratulations, Brother Chu. Now that Brother Chu has found your Tao, all that's left is to verify it. We'll wait for Brother Chu to verify it and ascend to the Emperor realm. Chu Kuangren chuckled. I've gained a lot from this sparring session. Thank you everyone. You're too kind, Brother Chu. Haha, it's all because of Brother Chu's own opportunities of fortune. Chu Kuangren conversed with the boundary emperors. Before he left, he found Boundary Emperor Tian Shui who had the frost physique and said, Boundary Emperor Tian Shui, since you're an expert in frost Tao, I'm sure you have a lot of ice-attributed treasures. I'd like to exchange 2 of them with you. I wonder if you're willing to do so. Oh, Brother Chu wants to cultivate frost Tao. Not really. I'm just asking for it for a friend of mine. I see. Boundary Emperor Tian Shui nodded. Then she generously took out a few of her most valuable frost elemental treasures and exchanged them with Chu Kuangren. One of them was a Boundary Emperor weapon. Strictly speaking, Boundary Emperor Tian Shui had profited from this exchange. However, Chu Kuangren did not mind. He had gained a lot from this trip to the Nether Abyss Valley, far more than these treasures. After leaving the Nether Abyss Valley, he returned to the volcanic crater and met the White Robe General. After he left, the White Robe General had obtained a few more treasures. However, he stood there helplessly. What's wrong? Are you not happy with the treasures? I suddenly remembered you said that Qingxue has an frost physique, and the treasures I've obtained are all fire attributed. They clash with her, so I'm afraid I can't give them to her. If the 2 attributes clashed, a coveted treasure could turn into a deadly weapon if used improperly. The White Robe General would not take such a risk by giving Shang Qingxue his treasures. I already calculated it. Take it. Chu Kuangren smiled and took out a few treasures from his yin and yang ring. An extremely strong wave of frost rippled, and the originally hot volcanic crater became a little chilly. These are. The White Robe General stared at the cold attribute treasures before him in astonishment. There was a Taoist robe, a pearl, and a sword respectively. These 3 supreme treasures were all emanating a powerful chilling intent. Any one of them was a supreme treasure that any cultivator who cultivated in the frost element could only dream of obtaining. Now Chu Kuangren had stuffed all of them into his hands. I just got to know some people, so I took it from them. It's perfect for you as a greeting gift. The white-robed general was somewhat hesitant. This, what do you mean by this and that? Take it. If you feel embarrassed, you can exchange the treasures you snatched here with me. That should be fine, right? All right then. The white-robed general nodded and passed all the treasures that he had just obtained to Chu Kuangren. After all, these were not of much use to him anyway. He glanced at Chu Kuangren with gratitude in his eyes. Many thanks. It was Chu Kuangren who had helped him find his descendant, and now he was doing so much for their relationship. The gratitude in his heart was indescribable. We're all friends here. You don't have to be so polite. Chu Kuangren smiled and was about to leave. However, a fragrant wind suddenly blew over, and a beautiful red figure appeared in front of Chu Kuangren. It was the Nine Heavens' pride, Humeiren. I'm Heavenly Fox Tribe's Humeiren. I've admired you for a long time, Brother Chu. I have a courtyard nearby, and I wonder if I can invite you there so that we can talk through the night? Humeiren said as she stared at Chu Kuangren with a pair of watery peach blossom eyes. If it were any other cultivator, they would have gone limp under such a gaze and would have agreed without hesitation. However, Chu Kuangren's eyes were calm. I'm sorry, but I'm in a hurry. I don't have time. Brother Chu, are you sure you don't want to reconsider? This little girl admires you very much. Humeiren slowly walked forward, and the fragrance that lingered in Chu Kuangren's nose became even stronger. That fragrance was intoxicating. Apart from the sweetness in Humeiren's eyes, there was also a hint of seduction in them. She was slightly shorter than Chu Kuangren. She was dressed in a gorgeous red dress that had a low cut. When she bent over slightly, her smooth, creamy skin seemed to dazzle the eyes, and the faintly discernible cleavage made people want to stuff their eyeballs into it to see what was going on. Chu Kuangren glanced at her. Then, the descendant's self-sword at his waist suddenly unsheathed itself with a clang. The tip of the sword was aimed at Humeiren's slender white neck, and a sharp sword chi spread out as if it would behead that beautiful head in the next moment. Humeiren could not help but gulp, but a charming smile appeared on her face. Brother Chu, what's the meaning of this? I'm sorry, but my descendant's self-sword doesn't like strangers getting too close to me. Chu Kuangren smiled gently. He looked so good when he smiled that Humeiren could not help but feel a little dazed. What a man who wants to kill me. While Humeiren was dazed, a sharp sword chi erupted from the descendant's self-sword, instantly forcing Humeiren to retreat. Could it be that the sword is jealous? Humeiren glanced at the sword and said with some uncertainty. Who knows? With a thought from Chu Kuangren, the descendant's self-sword automatically returned to its scabbard with a clang. White robe, let's go. All right. Chu Kuangren did not even look at Humeiren and left with the white robe general. Looking at Chu Kuangren's departing figure, Humeiren licked her lips. I don't believe that there's a man in this world that I can't take down. Ha, you sly fox, just give up. I'm afraid that your tricks won't work on this person. You might as well seduce me instead of him. Wang Qianting laughed and said. You can't even compare to a finger of his. Seducing you is no fun at all. Humeiren glanced at him and said in disdain. Upon hearing that, Wang Qianting raised an eyebrow and revealed a look of displeasure. Chu Kuangren may be strong, but I'm not one to be belittled. Sly Fox may be a slut, but her words are quite pertinent. Diske, the few of us here are no match for him. Zhan Hongying, who was wearing a metal mask, walked up and said. If even you say that, then it seems that not only is Chu Kuangren strong, but his face is even better too. Xiao Jingchen said calmly, but he was feeling a little jealous. There were not many female cultivators on the Soaring Dragon leaderboard, and only 2 of them were in the top 10. They were Zhan Hongying and Humeiren. Zhan Hongying was ranked 2nd on the Soaring Dragon leaderboard, and she was even more outstanding than Xiao Jingchen. Now, even these 2 were on Chu Kuangren's side. Although what they said was true, the few of them were still unhappy about it. Why was Chu Kuangren so outstanding? Chapter 485. Chu Kuangren and the White Robe General returned to the elusive mirage after leaving the volcano. Shang Qingxue had woken up some time ago. She was daydreaming in one of the pavilions in the elusive mirage, and she only regained her senses when she noticed Chu Kuangren and the White Robe General's arrival. Greetings, sect leader. Shang Qingxue stepped forward and bowed. How are you? I'm fine. By the way, sect leader, has your heavenly punishment seal been broken? Yes. Chu Kuangren nodded. Shang Qingxue was delighted. That's great. Then she looked at the white-robed general curiously. For some reason Shang Qingxue felt a sense of familiarity when she looked at the white-robed general before her. Qingxue, let me introduce you. This is the white-robed general, your ancestor. What? Shang Qingxue was stunned. I'll let him explain what happened to you. Chu Kuangren chuckled and left, leaving the white-robed general and the white-robed general alone. After Chu Kuangren left, the white-robed general looked at Shang Qingxue cautiously. He did not know what to say. After all, no matter who it was, they would find it hard to accept that they suddenly had a living ancestor standing right in front of them. These are my greeting gifts for you. The white-robed general, who did not know what else to say, took out the gifts he had prepared. Shang Qingxue could not help but gasp when she saw the ice-based treasures before her. The extremely dense ice-based energy fluctuations made her Taoist physique jump with joy. What a powerful treasure. Could this bead be the deep-sea frosty jade? Rumor has it that this bead can increase the cultivation speed of ice-based cultivators. And this sword is at least a sage ruler weapon. It might even be close to a boundary emperor weapon. Shang Qingxue was stunned when she saw the treasures before her. These will be very beneficial to your cultivation. Take them. After giving her the gifts, the two began to chat casually. From how the white-robed general asked Chu Kuangren to take care of Shang Qingxue and her daughter, to how the white-robed general joined the Black Heaven sect recently. Not far away. At the edge of a flower bed. Chu Kuangren smirked. Looks like you're getting along quite well. Under the cover of his spiritual will, there was nothing on the elusive mirage that could hide from him. Although he had left to give the two of them some space, he was still very curious as to how the two of them would reunite with each other. There was no way he could control his gossipy soul. A few days after the white-robed general and Shang Qingxue reunited, the two of them got along quite well. Shang Qingxue did not reject it. Who wouldn't want a powerful ancestor to suddenly give her a treasure? In addition, after hearing the love story between the white-robed general and the princess of the Lu Kingdom, she was even more touched. She admired and felt close to the white-robed general. As for the white-robed general, there was no need to even mention him. This had been his long-cherished wish for many years. Now that he had fulfilled it, his entire aura had become much calmer. He was no longer as cold and unapproachable as before. Although he was wearing a mask, Chu Kuangren could often see the smile in his eyes these few days. Back at the Black Heaven sect, Chu Kuangren began to study the stone tablet that he obtained from Acheron Manor while he was handling the sect's affairs. Besides that, the Black Heaven sect had developed by leaps and bounds. Elder Rian and the others had also ascended to the Boundary Sage realm. Logically speaking, they should have gone into seclusion and focused on accumulating the resources needed to become a sage. However, since Chu Kuangren had yet to break the seal, they helped him manage the Black Heaven sect. On this day, inside the Longevity Hall, Elder Rian and the others found Chu Kuangren together. What? All of you are planning to go into closed-door meditation to become a sage? Chu Kuangren was dumbfounded. If all the elders, especially Elder Rian, went into closed-door meditation, would he be the only one left to manage the huge Black Heaven sect? What the hell? Rest assured, sect leader. We've already decided on our replacements. Besides, with the Black Heaven sect's resources, it won't take too long for us to go into closed-door meditation. We'll be able to become a sage in a dozen years at most, Elder Rian said as she handed over a list of names. That was the list of disciples that she had decided on to take over the position of an elder. She had discussed it with Chu Kuangren some time ago. Chu Kuangren was a little reluctant. After all, although there were replacements, the sect's affairs had always been handled by Chu Kuangren and the other elders. It was inevitable that he would feel a little uncomfortable at the beginning when so many people were suddenly replaced. However, since it was related to becoming a sage, he could not say much and could only nod in agreement. After Elder Rian left, she came to a small courtyard in the Black Heaven sect. That was her residence. The small courtyard was very simple. Apart from a wooden house, there was only a tall loquat tree in front of the wooden house. She set up a few restrictions and planned to go into closed-door meditation. However, when she thought of Chu Kuangren, she could not calm down. Can the sect leader really do it alone? Although we've already decided on a few people, if we suddenly hand over all the affairs to the sect leader, it'll be a mess no matter what. It was not that she had no confidence in Chu Kuangren. She knew that he could manage the Black Heaven sect well, but she was still a little worried. Oh, by the way, I forgot to tell the sect leader that the Four Seas firm's mines in the Blackwater Prefecture and the Black Heaven sect have already reaped their harvest last month. Besides that, the Horizon Wing sect is preparing to send their disciples over for an exchange as well. The Horizon Wing sect leader is still waiting for a response. Elder Rian got up and was about to tell Chu Kuangren about these things. Suddenly, she stopped in her tracks and laughed bitterly. I told you to focus on your closed-door meditation. Why are you suddenly thinking about these things? All these years, she had been in charge of all the affairs in the Black Heaven sect. Now that she had suddenly relaxed, she was not used to it. Elder Rian, Lan Yu would like to see you. At that moment, Lan Yu's voice came from outside. What's the matter? Elder Rian went out and saw Lan Yu standing under the loquat tree. Elder Rian, Master asked me to come and give you something. She took out a small box that contained some tea leaves. The sect leader is giving me tea leaves? That's strange. How did he know that I like to drink tea? Elder Rian was a little surprised. Elder Rian, you've been assisting Master all these years. You've worked hard and Master will always remember that. This is just a small cup of tea. Thank you, Lan Yu. Thank you, sect leader. Alright, I'll take my leave then. Take care. After Elder Rian sent Lan Yu off, she entered the wooden house and took out a pot of water. Since it's the sect leader's kind intentions, I'll give it a try. Elder Rian murmured and began to brew the tea leaves. Not long after, waves of tea fragrance filled the air. She did not know if it was an illusion, but after smelling the tea fragrance, Elder Rian felt that her mind had become a lot more ethereal. She looked at the tea leaves that were steeped in the water and a mysterious Taoist rhyme filled it. She could not help but be shocked. These tea leaves contained such a mysterious Taoist rhyme? She carefully picked up the teacup and took a sip. A mysterious feeling of enlightenment immediately filled his mind, and his understanding of the Tao also rose along with it. Waves of Taoist rhyme circulated within her body, allowing her to quickly advance towards the sage realm. Chapter 486. Inside the Longevity Hall. Chu Kuangren was dealing with internal affairs. Since Elder Rian and the others had gone into closed-door meditation, his workload had skyrocketed. Since the replacement disciples were still very young, their efficiency was naturally not as fast as Elder Rian and the others. The Horizon Wing sect is sending people over to exchange their cultivation insights. Although they are affiliated forces, the Horizon Wing sect has lent a helping hand to the Black Heaven sect when they were in danger. We can't neglect this. Let Nangong Huang and the other disciples have a good exchange with them. The 36 oceanic islands are being rebuilt, and they've sent people to invite us to attend the ceremony. Are they trying to reconcile with us? Now that they want to reconcile, I'm not going. There have been demonic chi eruptions in the Black Wind Prefecture and Black Water Prefecture recently, but the cause is unknown. This is quite strange. In this era of great battles, everyone from the heavens and earth wants to join in the fun. Chu Kuangren looked at the memorials that were submitted to him. The sudden increase in his workload made him feel helpless. This reminded him of Gu Linglong, who was far away in the Royal Azure Dynasty. She should be even busier than he was in charge of the internal affairs of the dynasty. This is so annoying. Why don't I quit and go into closed-door meditation too? Chu Kuangren stretched and said to Lan Yu, who was beside him. That won't do. How can a sect leader say something like that? If anyone else heard it, it would be embarrassing. At that moment, a voice came from outside the Longevity Hall. Elder Rian, who was dressed in a white robe, walked into the room. She rolled her eyes at Chu Kuangren and said, I thought sect leader would be able to handle it easily, but I can't believe you're already thinking of quitting after I left for less than 2 days. Chu Kuangren smiled awkwardly. Elder Rian, I thought you were going into closed-door meditation? Why are you out so soon? Isn't this all thanks to the tea leaves that the sect leader gave me? Speaking of which, what kind of tea leaves were those that allowed me to break through to the sage realm in just 2 days, saving me more than 10 years of accumulation? Elder Rian was still surprised when she thought of the tea leaves. That kind of treasure was too rare. It was definitely an emperor-grade treasure, and not just any ordinary emperor-grade treasure at that. That's the Tao Enlightenment tea. I've used some of the treasures that I obtained in the past, so I've asked Lan Yu to send some to you. Chu Kuangren chuckled. Aside from the Fairfrost sage who was cultivating the Enlightenment tea and a few other sages, no one else in the Black Heaven sect knew about the Enlightenment tea. This item is extraordinary and too precious. Many thanks to sect leader. Elder Rian has worked hard and made great contributions. It's only right. Now that I have broken through to the Saint Realm, there is no need for me to go into closed-door training. Since I have nothing to do anyway, I might as well come back to help the sect master manage some trivial matters. Really? That's great. Sect leader, stop pretending. Isn't this your plan all along? Haha, in short, it would be for the best if Elder Rian could return to help me. Chu Kuangren chuckled. He had indeed asked Lan Yu to deliver that Tao Enlightenment tea to Elder Rian on purpose. On one hand, it was out of friendship, and on the other hand he wanted Elder Rian to break through to the Sage Realm as soon as possible so that she could return to help him manage the Black Heaven sect. Sigh, I was born with a life of toil, Elder Rian lamented. With Elder Rian's help, Chu Kuangren was able to sort out the remaining internal affairs in no time. He stretched his body. It's great that Elder Rian has returned. You've saved me a lot of trouble. I'll have to trouble you from now on. Then I'll be in your care in the future, sect leader. In the remaining days, the Black Heaven sect developed in an orderly manner. Aside from Elder Rian, the other disciples who were chosen to replace the elders had also improved by leaps and bounds. In just a few months, they were able to handle their respective duties with ease. This saved Chu Kuangren a lot of trouble as his days of free time gradually became more plentiful. He thought of the Acheron tablet that he obtained from the Acheron Manor, so he decided to go into closed-door training to study it. While Chu Kuangren was in closed-door training to study the Acheron tablet, the outside world was not peaceful. One of the 10 great forbidden areas, the Purgatory Forest. The Purgatory Forest was filled with skeletons. It was like an Azura's purgatory, hence its name. Today, a group of people suddenly appeared outside the Purgatory Forest. Each of these people exuded a strange demonic chi, and their leader was the Sky Pride Tuba, who was on the Soaring Dragon leaderboard. Although this person was on the Soaring Dragon leaderboard, he rarely fought, and his strength was a mystery. However, the fact that he was listed in the top 10 of the Soaring Dragon leaderboard was enough to show that he was extraordinary. So this is the Purgatory Forest, the Ashura tribe's territory. This scene really does have the characteristics of that group of people. A demon with a single horn on his head and yellow eyes grinned as he kicked a skull on the ground. Young master, there are a total of 18 restrictive spells in this Purgatory Forest, and they're all interconnected. It's not an easy task to enter. Beside Tuba was an old man in a white robe who was holding a black compass in his hand. On the compass, mysterious patterns of light flowed and released invisible waves, as if it was trying to find out the geographical features of the Purgatory Forest. Of course, it's not easy to enter the Purgatory Forest. Otherwise, this place wouldn't be one of the 10 great forbidden areas. This is also the reason why I've asked Elder Luo to come here. Elder Luo is the most outstanding formation master in the demonic realm, and the onyx demonic formation plate that you have is said to be able to break through tens of thousands of formations. It's ranked 3rd among the 33 sacred weapons of the demonic realm. With you here, these 18 restrictive spells are nothing to worry about. Tuba smiled faintly at the old man, and his words were filled with flattery. The old man seemed to feel a little smug from the compliments, and a proud look appeared on his face. Don't worry, young master. Since you've rescued me from the seal, I'll definitely break these 18 restrictive spells even if I have to sacrifice my life. Thank you, Elder Luo. Young master, the restrictive spells can be broken, but there are many experts in the Shura tribe, and there are even quasi-emperors among them. Young master, do you have a plan? Everyone, don't worry, we're not here to fight the Shura tribe head-on. Our goal is to destroy the great formation of the underworld. From what I know, the formation eye of the great formation of the underworld has been lost for many years, and now it's being maintained by a few quasi-emperors. Therefore, the quasi-emperors won't be able to deal with us. On the contrary, as long as we can destroy the formation, not only will we be able to open the passage to the demonic realm, but we'll also be able to cause the quasi-emperors to suffer from the backlash of the formation. Haha, that's great. Elder Luo, thank you, Tuba said as he looked at Elder Luo who was holding the formation plate. For the sake of the demonic realm, I'll do it without hesitation. Elder Luo said in a determined tone. Then he walked into the 18 restrictive spells of the Purgatory Forest. Time flew by. Half a day passed. Suddenly the entire Purgatory Forest started to shake. The 18 restrictive spells started to collapse one by one, and the Purgatory scene in front of everyone disappeared. Instead, it was replaced by a normal forest. So everything before this was an illusion. It's a success. Elder Luo has successfully destroyed the 18 restrictive spells. Everyone, let's follow the plan. Tuba said as he led the way into the Purgatory Forest. Chapter 487. Outside the Inferno Forest, a black figure was rushing towards the Inferno Forest. This person was Zhan Hongying, who was ranked second on the Soaring Dragon leaderboard. At the same time, she was also the Ashura tribe's saintess. Recently there have been cases of demonic aura erupting all over the firmament star, and those places are the sealing nodes of the demonic sages and sage rulers. Someone is releasing these guys. This is no small matter, I must report this to the tribe leader and the rest as soon as possible. Zhan Hongying thought to herself. At this moment, there was a sudden violent energy fluctuation coming from the Inferno Forest. The originally dark red sky gradually returned to its normal color, and the landscape of the Inferno Forest also changed. Some of the originally dangerous places had actually become ordinary and unremarkable. It's gone, the 18 seals have disappeared. Zhan Hongying's expression changed, she was shocked. She realized that something must have happened to the Ashura tribe. She hurriedly increased her speed and rushed towards the depths of the Inferno Forest. At this time, the Ashura clan was facing the attack of Tuba and the other experts from the demon world. As the quasi-emperors were maintaining the netherworld formation, they could not free themselves and could only rely on the clan leader of the Ashura clan to lead a group of elders to resist the attack. The Ashura tribe was brave and good at fighting, but there were too many demonic realm powerhouses this time. The Ashura tribe was struggling to deal with them. Boom. The Ashura tribe leader threw a punch and a majestic Ashura chi swept out, punching a demonic realm sage ruler. The demonic realm sage ruler had a horn on his head, and he held a black spear in his hand. Demonic aura flowed around his body, forming a vague shadow of a demonic dragon behind him. Single-horned demonic dragon sage ruler, damn it, weren't you sealed 40,000 years ago? The Ashura tribe leader's expression changed. For countless years, the underworld demonic realm had been eyeing Firmament Star covetously. As long as there was a chance, the demonic realm would invade Firmament Star. Some of these demonic realm powerhouses would be killed, while others were too strong to be killed. Hence they were sealed. For example, the White Lotus Sage ruler sealed Cerberus. The one-horned demonic dragon in front of the Ashura clan leader was also a member of the sealed demon clan. However, he was much stronger than Cerberus. Haha, of course someone has helped me break the seal. Ashura tribe, you must be tired after guarding the Netherworld Great Formation for so many years. Why don't we help you break it today? The one-horned dragon demon laughed. He held the long spear in his hand, and the demonic energy on his body seemed to be able to tear the sky apart. Oomph. All those years ago, the Nether Spring Grand Emperor set up a grand formation to seal the passageway to the Devil Dimension. We were entrusted by the Grand Emperor, so how could we allow all of you to act so arrogantly? Let's see how you defend this formation today. Inside the Ashura race, a terrifying energy wave swept through the entire Purgatory Forest. When Zhan Hongying arrived and saw the countless dead Ashura clansmen, her eyes turned cold. Today, all of you will die for this old lady. With a growl, crimson flowers bloomed on Zhan Hongying's body as a terrifying Dao rhyme erupted from her body. Flower of Ashura, she is the saintess of the Ashura clan. Tisk tsk saintess. Let's kill her first. A demon realm expert sneered as he charged towards Zhan Hongying. He was extremely strong and was only a step away from becoming a sage ruler. But when he got close to Zhan Hongying, an enchanting blood flower gushed out along with vines, wrapping around him in the blink of an eye. There were also many sharp thorns on the blood flower, piercing into his body in the blink of an eye, sucking his blood in a frenzy. In just a short while, the demon realm expert was sucked dry and turned into a dried corpse. Pippi. Zhan Hongying shouted coldly. The black mist behind her surged and a wolf's howl resounded. The ferocious demonic wolf of hell turned into a ray of black light and dashed out. Wherever it went, it set off a black gale, and many demon realm experts were torn apart by its sharp claws. So powerful. It's the demonic wolf and the saintess. Don't underestimate her. Her strength is at least on par with a sage ruler. The demon realm experts were extremely fearful. At that moment, a large amount of demonic energy soared into the sky from afar. The Ashura tribe members were shocked when they saw it. There was only one place in the Purgatory Forest that had demonic energy, and that was the Acheron Formation. However, the demonic energy that existed in the demonic realm had been sealed. But now, demonic energy soared into the sky. There was only one possibility. The formation has been destroyed. The Ashura tribe leader's expression was extremely ugly. The demon realm experts were overjoyed. Ah, the young master has succeeded. The demonic realm has returned. The firmament is our territory now. Let's see if there's a second Acheron Grand Emperor to stop us this time. The demonic realm's prosperity begins now. Boom, 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 pillars of demonic energy soared into the sky and shook the earth. This terrifying demonic energy spread rapidly from the purgatory forest to the entire firmament star. All the experts could feel it. This aura is demonic energy. D*M. This scale of demonic energy could only be seen during the demonic onslaught in ancient times. But wasn't the Acheron Grand Emperor using a formation to suppress the demonic realm back then? Could it be that the demonic realm has broken through the seal? This is bad. That passage to the demonic world is the largest known demonic well. Even an emperor can pass through it. If an emperor were to come here personally, the firmament star wouldn't be able to withstand it with its current strength. Could it be that the human realm is going to face a catastrophe soon? At this moment, all the cultivators in the firmament star, including the ancient beings in the forbidden grounds, looked in the direction of the purgatory forest. Compared to the scheming of the major forces in the firmament star, the demonic realm was the real enemy. As the demonic energy soared into the sky from the purgatory forest and gradually spread to the firmament star, the spiritual energy in the firmament star was also contaminated. Some cultivators did not have the experience of surviving in the demonic energy. After being corroded by the demonic energy collided with the spiritual energy, causing them to explode and die. This was only the cultivators. Needless to say, the ordinary people had no way of resisting the demonic energy. The ordinary people who were corroded by the demonic energy lost their minds and destroyed everything around them like demonic beasts. The area within a 10,000-mile radius of the purgatory forest was plunged into chaos, turning into a living hell. The demonic energy in the purgatory forest was still spreading. If it was not stopped, it would not take long for the demonic energy to completely cover the entire firmament star. When that time came, the ancient demonic onslaught would reappear, and the firmament star would become a part of the demonic realm of hell. This was the last thing the cultivators in the firmament star wanted to see. In an instant, the boundary emperors of the forbidden grounds appeared and flew towards the direction of the purgatory forest. Other than the demonic energy, the demonic creatures that were sealed in various parts of the firmament star also felt the arrival of the demonic energy. One by one they broke through the seal and wreaked havoc everywhere. The entire firmament star was plunged into chaos. Every minute and every second tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands, of millions of people died. This was a catastrophe. A catastrophe that could truly destroy the world. Chapter 488. While a catastrophe was happening on firmament star, far above the 9 heavens, somewhere in the void, a middle-aged man suddenly opened his eyes and looked in the direction of firmament star. This is the aura of the demonic realm. Has the demonic realm broken its seal? At this moment, at the highest point of the 9 heavens, Emperor's thoughts appeared in the void. The demonic realm has broken its seal. Someone must go down and stop it. Impossible. Firmament star has yet to produce a new emperor, and the heavenly axiom has yet to fully recover. It can't withstand the power of an emperor. If we force ourselves to go down now, this great era that we've waited so long for will end. Who knows how many years we'll have to wait for the next one? Then are we just going to watch the demonic realm take over firmament star? Then what's the point of everything we've done? The heavenly axiom will not allow the demonic emperors to easily set foot on firmament star. Those demonic emperors will at most send 1 or 2 clones over. Although no one in firmament star has become an emperor, there are still many boundary emperors. There must be a way. Trust them. Even if the demonic emperors have the heavenly axiom to stop them, how long can they stop them? And how are we going to close the passage to the demonic realm? The emperor's thoughts conversed in the void. Sometimes when they got excited, a powerful emperor's aura exploded in the void, causing the entire void to rumble. In the dark and silent cold universe, some meteorites that flew past were affected by the emperor's aura and turned into dust. The emperor's thoughts were arguing endlessly. Contact the divine predictor and ask him what he thinks. At this moment, an old emperor's thought appeared in the void. Far away in firmament star, on a mountain peak, the divine predictor was looking at a city shrouded in demonic chi. The city was in chaos. The cultivators were invaded by the demonic chi, which clashed with the spiritual power in their bodies and caused them to explode. Some were lucky enough to not be invaded by too much demonic chi, but they were still affected and fell into chaos. Needless to say, the people were invaded by the demonic chi and fell into madness. Some even directly mutated into strange and ferocious demonic beasts. Streams of light swept across the sky, heading towards the source of the demonic qi, which was the infernal forest. These were the quasi-emperors of the various forbidden lands. How many years has it been since I've seen something like this? Looks like this demonic onslaught has forced all these old fogies out. But what's the point? This catastrophe can't be quelled unless one is an emperor. Firmament Star is in danger. The divine predictor sighed as he looked at the streaks of light streaking across the sky. At this moment, a bronze mirror in his bosom glowed faintly. He took out the copper mirror and was not surprised. As expected, these old fellows have contacted me. Tianjizi took out the copper mirror and said, "Everyone, how long ago was the last time you contacted me?" A pitch-black image of the universe appeared in the copper mirror. Cut to the chase. Tianjizi, did you divine this catastrophe? An old voice came from the copper mirror. Yes, I guess so. Then why didn't you stop it? The old voice said with some anger. The heavenly Tao is incomplete, so my divination method is limited. Although I did divine the occurrence of the catastrophe, I don't know the specific details. Moreover, I'm only a sage at most. How could I stop a catastrophe like this? The divine predictor said helplessly. Alright, let's not talk about this. How can we stop this catastrophe? The impact of this catastrophe is beyond what Firmament Star's current strength can stop, unless an emperor personally comes. If we can survive, do we still need to contact you? The Firmament Star can't withstand the power of an emperor now. Moreover, those guys outside the Firmament Star are eyeing us. Once we leave, they will never let go of this opportunity. Is there any other way? Then we can only wait for one person. The divine predictor's deep gaze pierced through the demonic qi and looked into the distance. Oh, the strongest person under the Firmament Star. The demonic qi continued to spread. As the demonic qi invaded, some demonic creatures that were sealed in various parts of the Firmament Star also broke through their seals and wreaked havoc everywhere. These demonic creatures were extremely powerful. Just the demonic qi that they released was enough to wreak havoc in half of the state. Roar. In the Black Wind Tao state, an angry roar reverberated in the sky. Terrifying demonic qi erupted from a mountain range. Then, a ferocious demonic ape that was hundreds of feet tall rushed out of the mountain range. Its roar was like thunder, shaking thousands of miles away. Demonic world, it's the aura of the demonic world. Aha, the demonic world has finally arrived. Haha, I've been sealed for so long, it's been a long time since I've tasted the taste of humans. This time, I'm going to have a good time. The demonic ape looked at a crowded city in the distance and leaped hundreds of miles away. In another place inside a volcano, a humanoid existence that was covered in billowing black smoke climbed out of the volcano. Wherever the black smoke went, everything turned into ashes. It's been 70,000 years. It's been a full 70,000 years. I've finally seen the light of day again. Haha, Firmament Star, I, the Devil Sage Black Flame, have returned. The humanoid existence's eyes were like two blazing fireballs as he looked into the distance. There are many cultivators gathered in that direction. It should be an orthodoxy. Since the demonic realm has arrived, I don't need to hold back anymore. I'll start with you guys. The humanoid existence suddenly soared into the sky and turned into a cloud of black smoke. It carried a majestic demonic qi as it rushed into the distance. At this time, the Black Heaven sect was busy. Many cultivators were rushing to various places to help the people take shelter and defend against the demonic creatures that had broken through their seals. In the Longevity Hall, Elder Rian was communicating with the disciples from various places to coordinate the overall situation. The people of the Black Wind Tao state will first be settled in the Heaven Crystal Mine. We've set up a formation in the mine there that can temporarily resist the invasion of demonic qi. The people of the Horizon Wing sect are also helping people everywhere. However, one of their teams encountered a demonic beast in Jingqing. Nangong Huang, your place is the closest to Jingqing. Bring your people there and help them fight against the demonic beast. Keep in touch. Damn it, a demonic sea has suddenly appeared along the coast of the Snow Wind sect. Murong Xian Qing Wushuang, you two hurry over. Everyone please hurry. The demonic qi has now spread to the border of the Black Wind Tao state. Those who can't make it back in time, prepare your defenses. Be careful and don't let the demonic qi enter your body. Disciples below the Paradise Realm are not allowed to approach the area covered by the demonic qi. Elder Rian passed down orders one after another. All the disciples of the Black Heaven sect seized every minute and second to try their best to save the people. At this time, A powerful energy wave came from less than 10,000 miles southeast of the Black Heaven sect. A gigantic demonic ape was approaching the Black Heaven sect. Wherever it went, the mountains collapsed and the ground cracked. Demonic creatures are approaching. Activate the astonishing cloud of seas formation, Elder Rian said loudly. Black Heaven sect was shrouded in clouds. The demonic ape stopped outside the formation and observed with interest. In another direction, there was also a cloud of black smoke approaching the Black Heaven sect. Behind the black smoke was an extremely majestic demonic chi that covered tens of thousands of miles. The demonic chi violently collided with the astonishing cloud of seas formation and continuously interfered with its operation. The entire Black Heaven sect was shaken. Chapter 489. Boundless demonic chi gushed forth like a tidal wave, crashing into the astonishing cloud of seas formation. The entire formation was affected by the demonic chi, and many parts of it malfunctioned. Just when the entire Black Heaven sect was in turmoil, a golden ray of light suddenly shot into the sky. Then, a vast and boundless Buddhist light appeared in the void and turned into the silhouette of an ancient golden Buddha. The Buddhist light soared into the sky and spread out like water, dispersing the demonic chi wherever it went. The sky that had been engulfed by the demonic chi returned to normal. With the Black Heaven sect as the epicenter, the demonic chi within a radius of several million kilometers was cleansed. The cultivators and common people who had been affected by the demonic chi gradually calmed down and looked in the direction of the Black Heaven sect. Those who worshipped Buddha even knelt on the spot and prayed for Buddha's blessings. Meanwhile, the cultivators breathed a sigh of relief. He has made his move. With him around, the few states around here should be safe. In the Black Heaven sect, Chu Kuangren walked out of the towering heaven palace. He looked at the sky that was covered in demonic chi and quickly scanned the entire firmament star with his spiritual thought, locking onto the source of this calamity. The demonic realm has descended? You'll have to ask for my permission first. With a soft roar, the ancient Buddha's Buddhist light exploded once again, and Sanskrit chants reverberated across the sky. A gigantic golden palm reached out and aimed at the tall demonic ape outside the astonishing cloud of seas formation. Its terrifying domineering aura instantly locked onto him. What? The tall demonic ape's expression instantly changed. A look of horror appeared on his face as he urged the demonic chi in his body with all his might in an attempt to resist. However, his power was far too weak in the face of this palm. In just an instant he was smashed into a pile of dust. Not far away, the being shrouded in black smoke was so frightened that it immediately fled into the distance. **Eminent, how can there be such a terrifying being in this orthodoxy? The demonic sage had already scanned the orthodoxy with his spiritual thought. Most of them were ordinary sages. In his opinion, although the Black Heaven sect was considered a top-notch orthodoxy, he was strong enough to wipe them out. However, he did not expect to see Chu Kuangren here. Chu Kuangren's strength was many times stronger than his. Oh, running away? Where can you run to? Chu Kuangren sneered. As he raised his hand, the golden ancient Buddha stretched out its hand once more. That vast palm covered the heavens and earth, and its boundless might locked onto the demon saint. The great demon saint, who was shrouded in black smoke, felt the space around him suddenly solidify. There was no way for him to escape. Damn it, I just broke the seal, how can I die here? The demon saint roared as he activated the demonic chi on his body, forming a huge lava giant, wanting to take on this palm. He was indeed more powerful than the devilish ape from before, but there was no difference in the face of this palm. With a single palm strike, the devil chi collapsed and disintegrated. The lava giant and the great demon saint were also turned into powder. All disciples of the Black Heaven sect shall follow Elder Rian's orders. Chu Kuangren said calmly, his voice echoing throughout the Black Heaven sect. Then he took a step forward and disappeared into the void. In the Purgatory Forest, as the location of the demonic realm's passageway, the demonic chi was the densest there. It had almost become a paradise for demonic creatures. In the Ashura tribe's territory, demonic chi surged into the sky. In the sky, a huge demonic chi vortex appeared. Not only was there demonic chi in the vortex, but there was also a terrifying spatial fluctuation. That was the demonic realm's passageway that the Ashura tribe had been sealing for many years. Now that the seal of the demonic realm's passageway had been broken, the Ashura tribe was in an unprecedented crisis. Boom! A black lightning bolt shot out from the demonic chi vortex and landed on the ground. A figure could be seen within the black lightning bolt. It was a demon wearing black armor and holding a lightning spear. The demonic chi on his body was terrifying. This aura, it's a boundary emperor. The Ashura tribe leader's expression changed. There were also quasi-emperors in the Ashura tribe, but because the underworld formation had been destroyed, the quasi-emperors had suffered a backlash and could not exert much of their combat strength. The demon quasi-emperor in front of them was probably just a vanguard. Sure enough, just as the Ashura tribe leader was thinking about this, figures rushed out from the demonic realm's passageway. There were hundreds of thousands of them, ranging from the weakest to the strongest. All kinds of demonic beings filled the purgatory forest. Everyone in the Ashura tribe had an extremely ugly expression on their faces. Haha, the human world, we're here again. The boundary emperor of the demonic realm who had come out first laughed. His eyes swept across everyone present like lightning. When he saw the Ashura tribe, his eyes were filled with disgust. He said coldly, "If I want to conquer the human world, I'll first destroy the Ashura tribe. The Ashura tribe will fight to the death." The Ashura clan leader said coldly. His eyes were filled with determination. They had persisted for hundreds of thousands of years. Guarding the passageway to the demon world was a mission passed down from generation to generation. Even in the face of such danger, they could not retreat. There would only be Ashuras who died in battle. There would never be Ashuras who ran away. Every member of the Ashura clan had a fearless battle intent in their eyes. Ah, very well. The Ashura tribe is still the same. Even after hundreds of thousands of years, your fighting spirit has not been worn down. Although the boundary emperor of the demonic realm hated the Ashura tribe, he could not help but show a hint of respect when he saw their imposing manner. The Ashura tribe lives for battle. To die in battle. We will not retreat. The Ashura tribe leader roared, his fighting spirit soaring into the sky. To die in battle. To die in battle. To die in battle. The Ashura tribe leader roared. The surging fighting spirit that surged from his body surged into the hearts of every demon present. Then come at me. The boundary emperor of the demonic realm was the first to attack. He thrust his spear forward and a majestic lightning-based Taoist rhyme erupted like a torrent. A few boundary emperors of the Ashura tribe also attacked at the same time to resist his power. The rest of the Ashura tribe also fought with the demonic realm army. In an instant, the demonic chi soared into the sky and the fighting spirit raged. Everything within 100,000 kilometers was shocked. The Ashura tribe was brave and good at fighting. It could be said that few in the same cultivation realm were a match for them. However, this time they were fighting in the demonic chi. Furthermore, there was an endless stream of demonic realm creatures pouring into the Sky Dome realm from the demonic realm. It could be said that there was no end to them. They outnumbered the Ashura tribe by many times. As time passed, the Ashura tribe gradually fell into a disadvantage. Boom! Tu Ba punched out and clashed with Zhan Hongying's fist. The tyrannical fist energy nearly tore Tu Ba's arm apart, causing him to retreat by more than 100 meters. Even so, Tu Ba did not panic at all. No wonder you're ranked second on the Hidden Dragon ranking. You're indeed powerful. Unfortunately, the demon realm's invasion is unstoppable. It's just a matter of time before your Ashura clan is destroyed. Even if I die, I will drag you down with me, Zhan Hongying said in a cold tone. I'm afraid you can't do it. Tu Ba looked at the demonic realm passage in the sky and saw a few more figures rushing out. There were 4 demons, one was a 3-headed hellhound, one was a strong man with a long saber, one was a demoness with a human head and a snake body, and the last one was a skeleton covered in black hellfire. Every one of these 4 demons possessed the cultivation of a quasi-emperor. They were extremely terrifying. Chapter 490. Another 4 demonic boundary emperors arrived. The 4 of them came to Tuba's side. The skeleton covered in hellfire said, "Greetings, young master. Young master has successfully broken the seal of the underworld formation and helped the demonic realm to descend. You have done us a great service." Tuba revealed a smile in his eyes as well and he said, "Where's my father? Has he come?" The firmament star is currently restricted by the heavenly axiom, so it won't be easy for the Lord Demon Lord to enter the firmament star. However, he has already sent a doppelganger here. According to my estimation, he'll be here soon. Let's clear the obstacles for the Lord Demon Lord first, the skeletal boundary emperor said calmly. He looked at the Shura tribesmen, his pitch-black eye sockets burning with hellfire. Everyone who was stared at felt their scalps go numb. 4 boundary emperors, and they seem to be the strongest among the Boundary Emperors. We're in trouble. Damn it. Could it be that we really can't escape this calamity? Hang in there. At that moment, streaks of light flew over from the sky. A terrifying Boundary Emperor aura filled the sky above the Purgatory Forest. The Boundary Emperors of the forbidden grounds of the Firmament Star had arrived. The demonic realm is coming. They still have to get through us. One of the Boundary Emperors snorted and raised his hand. Boundless spiritual power poured out like a flood, instantly turning a large group of demonic creatures into dust. They're here. These fellows are too slow. The Boundary Emperors of the Shura tribe calmed down slightly. The demonic realm was not only a matter of the Shura tribe, but the entire Firmament Star. They were not fighting alone. Oh, many Boundary Emperors are here? The skeletal Quasi-Emperor chuckled and did not panic in the slightest. Once the passageway to the demon world was opened, no one would be able to stop it unless it was a martial emperor. Even if there were more Quasi-Emperors, it would be useless. It was because of this that the skeletal Boundary Emperor and the others were not afraid. Demon die. A burly man from the Firmament Star attacked instantly. He punched down from the sky, and a majestic Taoist rhyme intertwined in the void, turning into a giant fist that was aimed at the skeletal Boundary Emperor. However, the skeletal Quasi-Emperor snorted coldly and a large amount of hellfire spewed out of its body. The gigantic fist print was instantly incinerated into nothingness after coming into contact with the hellfire, unable to harm the skeletal Quasi-Emperor at all. This scene caused the expressions of the Quasi-Emperors to change slightly. Quasi-Emperor Lin Yi's strength is considered strong among the Quasi-Emperors, but his attack was easily neutralized. It seems that the strength of these demonic world Quasi-Emperors cannot be underestimated. This is going to be a catastrophe. Everyone, please give it your all. The survival of Firmament Star lies in our hands. Go! The longer this dragged on, the wider the demonic chi became. The Quasi-Emperors did not say much and immediately began to clear out the demonic calamity. With the addition of the Quasi-Emperors, the pressure on the Azura race lessened significantly. Moreover, the battle between the Quasi-Emperors was not something that could be easily interfered with. Terrifying Taoist rhymes intertwined in the void, and the energy waves released were enough to easily kill a sage. Many people did not dare to get too close and could only retreat far away. In an instant, the entire Purgatory Forest was divided into two battlefields. A large number of demonic creatures were dealt with by cultivators below the level of Quasi-Emperors, while the Quasi-Emperors fought with the Quasi-Emperors in the sky. The brilliant energy waves almost dyed the entire sky in colors. There were only 5 Quasi-Emperors on the side of the demonic world. Against a dozen or so Quasi-Emperors, no matter how strong they were still suppressed. However, these Quasi-Emperors did not panic at all. They mainly focused on defense and were obviously stalling for time as if they were waiting for something. The passageway to the demonic world has not been closed, and the experts of the demonic world will continue to enter Firmament Star. The longer we delay, the more disadvantageous it will be for us. Quasi-Emperor Tian Shui of the Nether Abyss Valley said. However, everyone knew what she meant, but they could not do anything about it. Stop struggling pointlessly. No matter what you do, it will all be in vain. The skeletal Quasi-Emperor laughed out loud, and a boundless and horrifying hellfire burst out of its skeletal body, forcing the group of Quasi-Emperors to retreat. On the other side, the human-headed, snake-bodied Quasi-Emperor opened his mouth and spat out a large amount of black venom. The venom was extremely toxic, and just the gas that it emitted was enough to cause all the flowers and plants within a radius of thousands of miles to wither. Even a Quasi-Emperor would feel their scalp go numb when faced with such a venom, and they would not dare to approach it carelessly. We can't go on like this. Let's trap them first, then think of a way to seal the passageway to the demonic world. One of the Quasi-Emperors said. Then he took out a golden compass, which flew into the air and released mysterious runes that turned into a huge sphere that trapped the 5 demonic world Quasi-Emperors in place, making it impossible for them to leave. After doing all this, the Quasi-Emperor's face instantly turned extremely pale. This array can only seal them for an hour at most. Let's hurry. All right. A few Quasi-Emperors came to the bottom of the demonic chi vortex, and they activated their spiritual power, turning into beams of light that shot towards the passageway in the sky, attempting to close it. However, the scale of the passageway to the demonic world was too huge, and the spatial fluctuations it emitted were extremely terrifying. Even the strength of a Quasi-Emperor couldn't shake it in the slightest. Let's help too. Let's do it together. All the quasi-emperors present attacked together, and terrifying spiritual power shot towards the passageway to the demonic world. Under the efforts of the quasi-emperors, the huge demonic chi vortex gradually showed signs of shrinking, and everyone couldn't help but be delighted when they saw this. There's hope. Come on, it might be possible. However, when the demonic chi vortex shrunk to a certain size, it could no longer shrink, and it was useless no matter how hard the quasi-emperors present tried. It's all in vain. The skeletal quasi-emperor who was trapped in the array sneered. At this moment, a powerful fluctuation came from the passageway to the demonic world. A beam of black light shot out, and the energy fluctuations released by all the quasi-emperors were easily shattered in a short period of time. More than a dozen quasi-emperors suffered the backlash of the energy, and were sent flying. The skeletal quasi-emperor and the others from the demonic world were overjoyed, and they looked towards the passageway. A black-haired, black-robed middle-aged man with eyes as deep as the stars slowly walked out, and a vast emperor's aura emanated from his body as if it was about to shatter the void. The entire purgatory forest was shaking, and even half of Firmament Star was shaking. Such power, is he an emperor? Damn it, we can't defend against such power at all. The quasi-emperors were horrified under the surging emperor's aura, and they couldn't help but tremble. Greetings, Lord Demon Emperor. The skeletal quasi-emperor and the others, on the other hand, knelt on the ground in ecstasy, and bowed respectfully to the middle-aged man. The scene before them completely plunged them into despair. The demon emperor himself had arrived. Human realm, I'm here again. The middle-aged man's gaze swept across everyone present, and he said coldly, "Those who obey me will prosper, and those who oppose me will die. From today onwards, I am the master of Firmament Star." His arrogant voice rumbled like thunder, resounding through the clouds, and could be heard clearly across half of Firmament Star. Bullsh *T. Chapter 491. Those who obey me shall prosper, and those who oppose me shall perish. From today onwards, I am the master of Firmament Star. The demon emperor's arrogant voice echoed across half of Firmament Star, plunging countless cultivators into despair. Right at this moment, a clear and cold shout that was like a thunderclap resounded abruptly. Bullsh *T. As the roar rang out, everyone saw an ancient Buddha suddenly appearing in the sky above the purgatory forest. Boundless Buddhist light poured out like a tidal wave, shaking the entire universe and cleansing the demonic chi in the air. Amidst the bright light, a golden Buddhist palm with terrifying power tore through the air and headed straight for the demon emperor. The demon emperor was slightly surprised. He then raised his hand to channel his demonic chi and unleashed a palm attack as well. The demonic chi formed a giant palm print in the void and struck out. When the two powerful forces collided, white cracks appeared in the void as if it was about to shatter. The shockwave that swept out caused the entire terrain of the purgatory forest to suffer unprecedented damage. More than half of it was destroyed and smoke and dust billowed. It was like the scene of doomsday. The boundary emperors at the scene were forced back thousands of meters, and even the demon emperor was forced back a few steps. This scene made everyone from the demonic world narrow their eyes, and their faces were filled with shock. The demon emperor was forced back by a single palm attack. Who the hell was that person? The demonic realm has descended? Dominator of the Firmament Star? You'll have to ask for my permission first. A cold voice rang out, accompanied by an extremely domineering aura. In the air, a white-robed, black-haired young man slowly walked through the air. A beautiful ancient sword hung at his waist, and he was dressed in a white robe with wide sleeves. His handsome appearance and arrogant demeanor formed the most unforgettable scene in everyone's life. That person was the top-ranked cultivator, Chu Kuangren. Chu Kuangren is here. So he's the supreme sage? What a powerful aura. The boundary emperors looked solemn as a glimmer of hope appeared in their eyes. When the demon emperor saw Chu Kuangren, his expression turned extremely gloomy. It's you again. Everyone was shocked when they heard that. It seemed like this demon emperor was acquainted with Chu Kuangren. Chu Kuangren was slightly surprised as well. He then activated his Eye of Revelation to check on the demonic emperor before him. Demon Emperor Pride, one of the 7 emperors of the demon world. Current state is a doppelganger. Chu Kuangren could not help but click his tongue in wonder when he saw that. It's you again. A long time ago, Chu Kuangren had crossed paths with this demonic emperor in the Wing human tribe. At that time, the demonic emperor was also only a clone. However, compared to the clone from back then, this clone was much more powerful. It was infinitely close to becoming an emperor. I didn't expect that when I descended again, you would still be my greatest obstacle. In just a few short years, you've actually improved to such an extent. Demon Emperor Pride was also very shocked. His talent was already one of the best in the records of the demon world, but even he did not dare to imagine that in just a few years, he could cultivate from a venerable to a level that was stronger than most quasi-emperors. This was almost unbelievable. There are a lot of things that you can't imagine. For example, this doppelganger of yours will still be destroyed by me today. Chu Kuangren said calmly. Then, a surge of surging Taoist rhymes spread from his body, fighting against the demonic emperor's domineering aura. You may be strong, but in the face of the emperor's Tao, you'll still lose. The demonic emperor said coldly as his surging emperor's aura spread. All the boundary emperors who felt this domineering aura felt that their Taoist rhyme had been suppressed, and they could not unleash their full strength. An emperor suppresses all abilities. The emperor's Tao had an absolute suppression effect on all Taoists below the emperor's Tao. Therefore, cultivators below the emperor's realm would never be able to fight against an emperor. Although the demon emperor Pride before them was only a doppelganger, he could use the power of the emperor's Tao. It was not something that the boundary emperors present could fight against. Emperor's Tao? I wonder if you can suppress the heavenly Tao. Chu Kuangren let out a soft roar. The Taoist rhyme on his body suddenly changed, and a majestic heavenly might emerged from his body. In the sky, dark clouds gathered and lightning flashed. It was as if the heavenly Tao was enraged. At this moment, it was as if Chu Kuangren had become the incarnation of the heavenly Tao. The majestic heavenly might shocked everyone at the scene. The heavenly punishment Taoist rhyme was not affected by the emperor's Tao at all. Even in the face of the emperor's Tao, Chu Kuangren could still unleash his full combat strength. How is this possible? How can someone in this world use the power of the heavenly Tao? Once again, Demon Emperor Pride was shocked by Chu Kuangren. Then, an extremely cold murderous intent burst out from his eyes. Now that there are no emperors in the firmament star, it's the best time for the demonic realm to take over the firmament star. Even with an anomaly like you, the demonic realm's invasion is unstoppable. You must die here today. Come, let's give it a try. Chu Kuangren said coldly, and the descendant's self-sword at his waist was unsheathed. Without another word, he swung his sword, and a dazzling and magnificent purple sword ray swept out along with a majestic wind pressure. Let me see how much you've improved over the years. Demon Emperor Pride snorted and unleashed a punch of his own. When the sword and fist collided, both Chu Kuangren and Demon Emperor Pride were forced back. With his supreme sage body, Chu Kuangren was not afraid of the impact of the attack at all. He raised his hand and swung his sword again. After that, he unleashed the Tathagata rebirth mantra, Raging God's Fist, Heart-Piercing Finger, and various other emperor techniques one after another. Demon Emperor Pride could not help but shudder when he saw that. Why does he have so many emperor techniques? Not far away, Zhan Hongying and Tuba could not help but be shocked when they saw the battle between Chu Kuangren and the Demon Emperor. Although they were all Sky Prides on the Soaring Dragon leaderboard, Chu Kuangren could already fight a Demon Emperor. On the other hand, they were still messing around with a sage. The gap between them was too obvious. F***CK me, I don't know if it's just my imagination, but why do I feel like this guy's gotten stronger? Zhan Hongying let out a weird cry and said with a doubtful look in her eyes. Beside her, the infernal demonic wolf Pippi let out a howl as if in agreement. He's indeed gotten stronger. The group of boundary emperors also noticed the change in Chu Kuangren. All of them were shocked. How long had it been since Chu Kuangren unlocked the heavenly punishment seal? How could he improve so quickly? After all, at their level of cultivation, every single improvement was extremely rare. Sometimes, it was possible for one to be stuck at a certain stage and not make any progress for thousands or even tens of thousands of years. However, Chu Kuangren had improved every few days, which was too much of a blow to their confidence. Only the boundary emperors of the Nether Abyss Valley could guess what was going on. Brother Chu's improvement is because he's found his own Tao. That's right. He's now confirming his own Tao. Finding one's own Tao was the most crucial step in one's cultivation realm. Once one succeeded, it was not impossible for one's cultivation to improve by leaps and bounds. Pride Demonic Tome, Proud Heart Art. Demon Emperor Pride raised his hand and channeled his demonic chi to form a black demonic saber. With a slash, a domineering aura emanated and intimidated the world. The pitch-black saber ray shrouded the heavens and earth as it pounced towards Chu Kuangren. Chapter 492. Pride Demonic Tome, Everlasting Heart Technique. As he unleashed his attack, the boundless demonic chi converged into a chilling saber ray that charged towards Chu Kuangren. In the face of such a saber ray, Chu Kuangren had a rare look of seriousness on his face. Oh, so this is the power that's closest to an emperor? He gripped the Descendant Self-Sword in his hand tightly and channeled the heavenly punishment Taoist rhyme to its maximum. The heavenly poise surged from his body, shocking everyone. A blood-red flame suddenly appeared on his body. The 9 Deaths Blazing Blood art was activated. Although the 9 Deaths Blazing Blood art did not increase his strength by much, he had to give it his all in the face of Demon Emperor Pride's attack. Then a black armor covered his body. It was the Emperor weapon, the innate ferocious armor. On his body, countless Taoist rhymes circulated and merged to form an overbearing transcendental strength. His ferocious chi and battle intent erupted as well. The 3 great Taoist physiques were activated at the same time. As the sword slashed out, a terrifying sword chi that was fused with the evil chi, sword chi power of all things, and the Taoist rhyme of heavenly punishment swept out. That kind of power caused the entire void to tremble. White lines spread out, and the void could not withstand this sword and was torn apart. The sword chi and the blade light collided in front of everyone's eyes. The power that burst forth in that instant was extremely tyrannical, and the sweeping force spread out in all directions. The already fragmented purgatory forest became even more disorderly, like snow on top of snow, and became even more disorderly. 2 completely different Taoist rhymes clashed with each other, filling half of the sky with their energies. Chu Kuangren and Demon Emperor Pride were once again pushed back by their opponent's power. This time, even with Chu Kuangren's supreme sage body and innate ferocious armor, he was still affected. He felt a tightness in his chest and a sweet taste in his throat as if blood was about to gush out. However, that feeling disappeared after a while. The immortal body effect was activated. His immortal body had now reached the 4th realm, the blood rebirth realm. As the name suggested, as long as he had a drop of blood left, he could be resurrected again. Not to mention his self-healing ability was much stronger than the 3rd realm. I didn't expect you to be hiding an imperial armament on you. You were able to take on my attack head-on. After the impact, Demon Emperor Pride almost vomited blood. However, in order to maintain his dignity as a demon emperor, he forcefully held it in. He stared at Chu Kuangren in shock, especially when he saw the emperor weapon. As a demon overlord, he also had an imperial armament. However, he had come here with a clone, so it was impossible for him to bring an imperial armament with him. A monarch weapon? I want to see how long you can last. Chu Kuangren raised his arm and a golden trident appeared in his hand. Emperor armament, Neptune's halberd. 2 monarch weapons. You actually have 2 monarch weapons. Demon Emperor Pride's expression changed slightly. Chu Kuangren had 2 emperor weapons, one for offense and the other for defense. Hence, the combat strength that they could unleash was undoubtedly more terrifying. Do you think that's all? Chu Kuangren smiled and took out the sacred emerald sword case. This time all the quasi-emperors present were startled. With their extraordinary eyesight, they were able to tell that the sword box was also a monarch armament. 3 monarch armaments. Chu Kuangren actually had 3 monarch armaments on him. An monarch armament was enough to make a top-notch orthodoxy yearn for it. Even the heavenly golden palace and the bottomless chasm could not find an monarch armament. Only the ancient orthodoxies that possessed a complete emperor's inheritance in the 9 heavens would have such a precious treasure. There were not many of them in the firmament star. However, Chu Kuangren had taken out 3 of them all by himself. What kind of opportunity of fortune was that? Compared to the previous 2 emperor weapons, the sacred emerald sword case's emperor's aura was not as strong. However, that did not hide the fact that it was an emperor weapon. In fact, the sacred emerald sword case's true strength was not in terms of attack or defense. Chu Kuangren gently patted the sword case, and in an instant, an incredibly mysterious Taoist rhyme emerged from the sword case. The sword case opened and one by one long swords flew out. Majestic sword chi swept across the void. The 365 swords were all sage weapons. Some of them had even reached the level of great sage or sage ruler weapons. Under Chu Kuangren's control, the 365 sage swords formed an incredibly powerful sword formation that surrounded Demon Emperor Pride. As the sword chi raged, an all-encompassing force of nature was born within it. It was the four-season sword formation that Chu Kuangren had not used for a long time. The four-season sword formation appeared, and the sky was filled with sword chi that shocked everyone. On the demonic realm's side, Elder Luo, who was known to be able to break through tens of thousands of formations, could not help but exclaim when he saw this sword formation. This sword formation is too mysterious. It's even more powerful than the Purgatory Forest's 18 layers of restrictive seals. I can't believe this person can cast a sword formation of this level. With the sword formation and Emperor weapon, Chu Kuangren once again battled Demon Emperor Pride. He dashed out and entered the range of the sword formation. With the sky full of sword chi at his disposal, he charged towards Demon Emperor Pride with a single thought. He then activated the Empyrean Neptune's halberd and swung it at Demon Emperor Pride as if it was carrying an entire ocean. Demon Emperor Pride could only see his opponent raising his saber to block the attack. However, upon contact he was pushed back by the Emperor weapon's might. What followed next was the sword chi from the sword formation that rushed towards him. Demon Emperor Pride could not help but feel a little fearful. He channeled his demonic chi to form a protective barrier around his body to block the sword chi. Even so, he could not completely block the attack and his robe was torn by some sword chi. How can this guy do this? He realized that his clone was being suppressed by Chu Kuangren. If this went on, it was only a matter of time before he lost. At that thought, he was so furious that his face was so gloomy that it looked like it was about to drip water. Once again, Chu Kuangren had defeated his clone again, and once again he was about to stop him from descending. Being defeated by the same person twice in a row, and it was even by a young junior. This made him feel like he was about to lose all his dignity. Chu Kuangren did not care what Demon Emperor Pride was thinking. Since he had the upper hand, he did not hold back at all. He unleashed his full strength and forced Demon Emperor Pride to retreat. Not long after, Demon Emperor Pride's body was covered with wounds, and he looked extremely pathetic. Demon Emperor Pride's name alone was enough to tell what kind of person he was. Now that he was beaten up in front of countless demonic cultivators, he was so angry that his lungs were about to explode. Meanwhile, Tuba, the skeletal boundary emperor, and the others were also in disbelief. Although it's just a clone, this is the first time I've seen my father in such a pathetic state. This Chu Kuangren is just too abnormal. Tuba looked at Chu Kuangren with fear. Compared to the demonic cultivators, the Firmament Star's boundary emperors were relieved. Although some of them were dissatisfied with Chu Kuangren's way of doing things, there was nothing more reassuring than having Chu Kuangren as their ally. Let's leave Demon Emperor Pride to Chu Kuangren. Let's seal off the passage first. One of the boundary emperors said. However, it was extremely difficult to seal off the passage to the demonic realm with their current strength. Just as they were about to seal off the passage, several extremely powerful auras came from the passage. Chapter 493. Ha Pride, this is the first time I've seen you in such a sorry state. A sinister laughter came from the demonic realm's passageway. An incomparably huge black snake head emerged from the demon world's passageway. Its pale yellow snake eyes carried a hint of mockery. A powerful shockwave erupted from the gigantic black snake's body. Once again, the boundary emperors suffered an energy backlash and were sent flying. After the gigantic black snake emerged from the passageway, it turned into a skinny short man with a sinister aura that gave everyone goosebumps. Aside from the skinny man that the black snake had transformed into, a few more figures walked out from the passageway. These people all had different appearances. There was a charming woman, a 3-meter-tall giant with a malevolent-looking face, and a three-headed hound. Aside from their appearances, these few people had one thing in common. That was, all of these existences were emanating an incomparably tyrannical emperor's aura. They were no weaker than the Pride Demon Emperor. Gulp. The boundary emperors could not help but gulp, their eyes filled with shock. What was going on? One Pride Demon Emperor was more than enough for them to handle. Yet now, there were a few more existences that were on the same level as him. There was no way they could fight this battle. Oh, what a grand entrance. Chu Kuangren's gaze swept across the few emperors' aura-pressuring existences, and their information appeared one by one. Sloth Demon Emperor, originally an underworld Cerberus, currently in a clone state. Lust Demon Emperor, originally a demonic succubus, currently in a clone state. Greed Demon Emperor, originally an underworld demonic snake, currently in a clone state. Wrath Demon Emperor, Envy Demon Emperor, Gluttony Demon Emperor. The information of the 6 people appeared one by one. All of them were clones. Obviously, even with the demonic realm's passageway, it would be difficult for these demon emperors to personally descend into the firmament realm. Hence, they could only descend with their clones. The 7 underworld demon emperors are all here. Chu Kuangren chuckled. Even in the face of such a situation, he still maintained his composure. Young lad, you look very calm. The Wrath Demon Emperor, who was as muscular as a mountain and looked like a mini-giant, grinned. He raised his hand and threw a punch at the sword formation. The entire sword formation exploded, and Pride also seized the opportunity to charge toward the place where the Wrath Demon Emperor had attacked. He raised his saber and slashed down. Black saber light sword, forcibly tearing a hole in the Four Seasons sword formation and dashing out. You guys are too slow. Demon Emperor Pride looked at the few Demon Emperor clones in dissatisfaction. If I had come too early, how could I have seen the mighty Demon Emperor Pride being suppressed by a human? Demon Emperor Greed chuckled. If he didn't have the help of others, it would be the same if any of you went up against him. This person is not to be underestimated. Demon Emperor Pride said coldly. Hearing this, everyone was shocked. They had never thought that the arrogant Demon Emperor would say such a thing. The few demonic emperors looked at Chu Kuangren with a meaningful look in their eyes. But it doesn't matter. Now that the clones of the 7 great demon emperors have arrived, and there are no emperors left in the firmament star, the outcome has been decided. The Envy Demon Emperor said calmly. That's right. No matter how strong this kid is, there's nothing he can do in the face of such a lineup. He's definitely going to lose this battle. The other Boundary Emperors and Ashura tribe members of the Firmament Star could not help but feel despair. With the 7 great demon emperors here, only an emperor could stop such a lineup. Just as the Envy Demon Emperor had said, the outcome had been decided. The outcome has been decided? There's nothing you can do? I don't know where you get your confidence from to say such things in front of me. Chu Kuangren said calmly. Kid, open your eyes wide and take a good look. No matter how strong you are, you're only one of us. How are you going to turn the tide? Why waste your breath on him? He'll only be trouble if we let him live. Let's get rid of him first. The Demon Emperor of Avarice was the first to strike. With a palm attack, the majestic demonic chi converged into a giant serpent head that swooped towards Chu Kuangren. A terrifying suction force erupted from the mouth of the Demon Emperor of Avarice, constantly pulling Chu Kuangren's body. The Wrath Demon Emperor, Gluttony Demon Emperor, and Envy Demon Emperor also attacked at the same time. Several terrifying energy turbulence swept out as Chu Kuangren swung his Empyrean Neptune's trident halberd. However, he could still gain the upper hand against one Demon Emperor Pride. Now that he was outnumbered, he could not hold on any longer. Even he was blasted hundreds of meters away and smashed into a rock wall. With a loud boom, the rock wall instantly shattered into countless pieces of gravel and sand. Even he's no match for them? It seems like the Firmament Star will not be able to escape this time. The Boundary Emperors felt even more despair when they saw that. Meanwhile, Tuba and the others from the demonic realm breathed a sigh of relief. The scene of Chu Kuangren suppressing the Demon Emperor Pride was too shocking for them. They even doubted if the demonic realm's descent would be successful. Now that the Demon Emperors had joined forces to suppress Chu Kuangren, they regained their confidence. It seems like he's not invincible after all, Tuba thought to himself. Then he laughed and shook his head. How can anyone in this world be invincible? It seemed like he had heard too many rumors about Chu Kuangren in the Firmament Star. Just like the others, he almost thought that Chu Kuangren was invincible. I thought he was powerful, but it turns out he's just a braggart. The Greed Demon Emperor could not help but sneer when he saw Chu Kuangren being blasted into the rock wall. Then he looked at the Boundary Emperors present. Alright, let's get rid of these people next. There's no need to rush. The battle between us isn't over yet. At that moment, an indifferent voice came from the dust not far away. Chu Kuangren walked out from the dust. The jade crown that he used to tie his hair had fallen off, and his black hair was flying in the air, making him look even more arrogant. Not only was Chu Kuangren unharmed after being attacked by a few demon emperors, but his aura had also grown stronger as he stood before them. How can this be? Even if he has an emperor weapon to protect himself, how can he remain unscathed after taking that kind of attack? Now I finally know why Demon Emperor Pride was defeated by this guy. He's indeed extraordinary. I can't believe Firmament Star has produced a sage like him. The Demon Emperor's expressions turned serious. Just when they were about to continue attacking Chu Kuangren, they saw Chu Kuangren lift his arm and draw lines of silvery white patterns in the void. They then formed into a gigantic spatial congealing rune that suddenly fell from the sky. When the spatial congealing rune appeared, the Demon Emperor's attacks froze for a moment. Following that, a ball of red light appeared in Chu Kuangren's hand. It was the 9 Profound Heavens fire barrier which was specifically used to trap people. Chu Kuangren tossed it out and covered the Demon Emperors. What a joke. Trying to trap us with a Boundary Emperor weapon? Heh, it's enough to trap us for a few breaths' time. Chapter 494. The 9 Profound Elemental Fire Barrier completely trapped the demonic emperors within it. Although the demonic emperors were powerful, they were only clones. Chu Kuangren's Spatial Freeze Rune and 9 Profound Elemental Fire Barrier were enough to trap them for a few breaths' time. Everyone was puzzled by Chu Kuangren's words. So what if he could trap the demonic emperors for a few breaths' time? It would not hurt them anyway. Once the demonic emperors escaped, it would not affect the situation at all. Your efforts are futile. Do you really think you can seal the demonic realm's passage in a few breaths' time and get rid of us? The greed demonic emperor sneered. Perhaps. Chu Kuangren chuckled. Then a surge of sword chi erupted from his body. An incredibly mysterious sword-based Taoist rhyme circulated around his body and formed a sword of the heavens. In an instant, all the swords in Firmament Star flew into the sky as if they were summoned. The powerful swordsmen on Firmament Star gripped their long swords tightly, wanting to suppress them. However, they suddenly sensed something and looked towards the direction of the Purgatory Forest. Chu Kuangren is borrowing the swords. Is he planning to use them to fight against the demonic realm? If that's the case, why not lend them to you then? Borrowing the swords of the world to fight against the demonic realm. In this world, only Chu Kuangren would be capable of doing something like this. Chu Kuangren, let us lend you a hand then. All the swordsmen let go of their control over their swords. They even channeled their spiritual energies into their swords and tossed them into the air to lend Chu Kuangren a hand. Sword chi soared into the sky as countless swords flew towards the direction of the Purgatory Forest. In the Purgatory Forest, the Boundary Emperors looked at Chu Kuangren in shock. At that moment, Chu Kuangren spread his spiritual thoughts to cover the entire Firmament Star. He continuously cast the spatial conveyor technique to increase the speed of the flying swords. In just a few breaths' time, countless swords were rushing towards the Purgatory Forest from all directions. Look! Someone in the crowd let out a cry of surprise. From afar, a large black shadow could be seen approaching. Upon closer inspection, it was a dense cloud formed by countless long swords. The long swords flew towards Chu Kuangren's direction, and the clanging sounds of collision could be heard as the sword chi danced in the air like a giant dragon. The countless swords surrounded Chu Kuangren like a god of swords. Chu Kuangren stood amidst the billions of swords, controlling the sword chi of heaven and earth with every move he made. His power was so strong that it seemed endless. Break. Demon Emperor of Greed, Demon Emperor of Envy, and the others destroyed the 9 Profoundly Fire Barrier. They looked at the billions of swords in front of them with ugly expressions. Even they were frightened by the scene before them. Today I will use this sword of the heavens to suppress your devil realm. Chu Kuangren said proudly as he was surrounded by countless long swords. He focused his sword fingers, and the swords around him seemed to have been summoned. They released streams of sword chi and flew toward the demonic world's passage in the sky. At the same time, a powerful sealing force erupted from the swords. It was the legendary spell that Chu Kuangren had obtained some time ago, the Sealing Sword Formation. He activated the exquisite 9 Orifices Sword Heart and guided the billions of long swords in Firmament Star to unleash a sealing sword array that was extremely terrifying. Not many beings could withstand it. Chu Kuangren even suspected that even an emperor would be trapped by this sealing power. Not to mention these demon emperor avatars. Not good. He wants to use this firmament sword chi to seal the passage to the demon realm. This kind of power. We can't let him succeed. Demon Emperor Pride's expression changed. Initially, they thought that only an emperor would be able to seal the demonic realm's passageway. However, now that Chu Kuangren had activated such a terrifying sword formation and unleashed such a terrifying sealing power, perhaps the demonic realm's passageway could be sealed even without an emperor. With that, the demonic emperors could no longer remain calm and tried to stop Chu Kuangren. Kid, stop right now. The Wrath Demon Emperor was the first to strike. He threw a punch at Chu Kuangren, and a surge of Emperor's aura erupted. However, Chu Kuangren did not even spare him a glance. He was no longer alone. He had gathered all the sword Dao energy in the entire firmament star. How terrifying was such a power? Unless an emperor came personally, no one below the emperor realm would be able to fight against Chu Kuangren. Right. Chu Kuangren uttered. A majestic sword chi pierced through the air, instantly shattering the Wrath Demon Emperor's demonic chi in Taoist rhyme. The Wrath Demon Emperor was blasted away by that power. What a terrifying sword chi. This kind of power isn't his alone. Of course not. This is the firmament star's sword Dao energy. Chu Kuangren pulled out his descendant self-sword and slashed across the sky. The domineering purple sword ray was like a torrent that tore apart the heavens and earth. The Wrath Demon Emperor's expression changed drastically. Before he could activate his demonic chi to defend himself, a silver-white rune had already landed on his body. The Spatial Freeze rune. Boom. The Wrath Demon Emperor's body was blasted by the sword chi, and his entire body exploded into a mist of blood. Meanwhile, the other demonic emperors rushed to the edge of the demonic realm's passageway, intending to defend against this sealing sword formation. Devour of Greed. Everlasting Heart Technique. Eye of Jealousy. Several powerful emperor techniques erupted with terrifying demonic chi, but the power of Chu Kuangren's sword chi torrent was too horrifying. In particular, the terrifying sealing power sealed the void in an instant. The attacks of the demon emperors disintegrated on the spot in the face of the sealing power. The sword chi that filled the sky seemed to have turned into a terrifying sword chi dragon, engulfing the bodies of the demon emperors. In the blink of an eye, the demonic emperor's clones were instantly reduced to dust. All the boundary emperors were dumbfounded. The demonic emperor's clones that left dozens of boundary emperors helpless were dealt with by Chu Kuangren just like that. That kind of power was just too horrifying. Inside the demonic realm, a few figures suddenly flew into the sky from the few palaces. Surges of terrifying emperor's aura instantly spread, and within it was a surge of anger that terrified all living beings in the demonic realm. B** starred, how dare you destroy my clones? D** eminent, this is the second time. This is the second time. D** eminent, the demonic realm's descent has failed just like that. The 7 demonic emperors were enraged. They hated Chu Kuangren to the core. After offending the 7 demonic emperors, Chu Kuangren had almost become the enemy of the entire demonic realm. Outside the demonic realm, in the purgatory forest, billions of long swords intertwined in the void, and surges of sword chi resonated with each other, forming into a sword chi dragon that pierced into the demonic realm's passageway. A powerful sealing power instantly erupted, and the endless demonic chi retreated like a tidal wave before it was once again sealed into the demonic realm. The billions of long swords also merged into the void, forming a sealing sword formation that covered thousands of kilometers. In the sky, the huge and deep demonic realm's passageway began to close under the sealing power of the sword formation and eventually disappeared. The remaining demonic realm cultivators were already filled with despair when they saw that. This was especially true for the one-horned demonic dragon and the others. Initially, they thought that they would be the greatest heroes of the demonic realm after the demonic realm's descent. However, they did not expect things to change so quickly. With Chu Kuangren's arrival, their hopes were completely shattered. Chapter 495. Run. Only death awaits us if we continue to stay here. The one-horned demonic dragon and the other demonic cultivators looked at each other before they quickly fled in different directions. Don't you think it's a little too late to leave? An indifferent voice suddenly rang out. A powerful sword-based Taoist rhyme spread from Chu Kuangren's body and instantly locked onto all the demonic cultivators. Following that, numerous runic swords formed in the void and shot out in all directions. In the blink of an eye, not a single demonic cultivator was spared. Chu Kuangren had single-handedly turned the tide of the battle and ended the catastrophe. All the cultivators looked at Chu Kuangren with indescribable awe in their eyes. There was no doubt that Chu Kuangren was their savior at this moment. It's all thanks to you, Brother Chu. If it weren't for you, I'm afraid we wouldn't have been able to survive this catastrophe alone. That's right. Brother Chu, you're truly the best cultivator in this world. The boundary emperors walked up to Chu Kuangren and bowed respectfully. No matter what happened in the past or in the future, they admired Chu Kuangren from the bottom of their hearts. Apart from myself, I have to thank all the other swordsmen in this world for lending their swords to me. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to seal the demonic realm's passageway with my sealing sword formation alone. Chu Kuangren glanced at the seal and felt a sense of relief in his heart. "Ah, you're too humble, Brother Chu." After settling everything, Chu Kuangren and the others did not stay in the Ashura tribe for long. Although the demonic realm had been sealed, its influence was still there. Many demonic beasts had broken through the seal. These demonic beasts still needed to be dealt with. However, with the help of the boundary emperors and Chu Kuangren, it was not a big problem. It only took them a day to deal with it. When they returned to the Black Heaven sect, they began to calculate the casualties caused by the demonic realm's invasion. Although it had not been long since the demonic realm's invasion, the damage was still immeasurable. Just the few states under the Black Heaven sect's jurisdiction alone had suffered hundreds of millions of casualties, and that was the result of the Black Heaven sect's timely rescue. Otherwise, the number of casualties would have been much higher. Fortunately, it's all over now. Yeah. Chu Kuangren nodded slightly. Then his expression changed slightly. He sensed that a few people had arrived outside the Black Heaven sect's mountain gate, and there was even a gust of demonic qi among them. Could it be the remnants of the demon world? Chu Kuangren activated his spiritual thought. Soon he noticed that the newcomers were Zhan Hongying of the Azura clan, Mo Lang, and the patriarch of the Azura clan. Outside the Black Heaven sect's mountain gate. A few disciples were looking at Zhan Hongying warily, especially the demon wolf beside her, which made them even more fearful. After all, they had just experienced a demonic disaster, and now a powerful demonic creature had appeared in front of the mountain gate. If it was anyone else, they would be on guard. Let them in. At that moment, Chu Kuangren's words rang in the ears of the disciples. Everyone looked at each other. Yes, sect leader. Only then did everyone make way for him. Zhan Hongying, the Shura clan leader, and the others entered the Black Heaven sect. A disciple led them to the Longevity Hall. Greetings, fellow Taoist Chu. The Azura clan leader cupped his fists and bowed, not daring to be slow. Azura clan leader, please take a seat. May I know what business you have with me? Chu Kuangren asked. Well, now that the demonic realm's passageway has been sealed by fellow Taoist Chu's sword formation, we would like to know if the Azura clan should continue to guard it. So, how should we guard it? This was the reason why the Azura clan leader came to look for Chu Kuangren. In the past, the Azura clan was entrusted by the Acheron Emperor to guard the demonic realm's passageway for hundreds of thousands of years. Now, the one who sealed the demonic realm had suddenly become Chu Kuangren. He needed to discuss with Chu Kuangren, such as if there was anything he needed to pay attention to about the sealing sword formation. The Azura clan resides in the Infernal Forest. If possible, please continue to guard the demonic realm's passageway. Chu Kuangren said solemnly. Chu Kuangren now had a sense of respect for the Azura clan. After all, not everyone would devote their entire clan's strength to guard the demonic realm and protect the people for hundreds of thousands of years just for a promise. Of course. The Azura clan leader nodded. Since the Azura clan was entrusted by the Acheron Emperor, they naturally would not reject his request. Moreover, after so many years, they had already taken root in the Infernal Forest. Even if they were to leave, they would not know where to go. After that, both parties discussed about the sealing sword formation, and Chu Kuangren told them about the things they needed to pay attention to. Finally, he took out a strange stone tablet. It was the Acheron tablet. This is the Acheron tablet that I obtained from the Acheron Manor. It's time to return it to its rightful owner. Chu Kuangren said calmly. In the past few days, he had already fully understood the various mysteries of the Acheron tablet. Looking at the Acheron tablet before him, the Azura clan leader had a complicated look in his eyes. If it wasn't for the internal strife that caused the Acheron formation to shake, how could we have lost this Acheron tablet? If we could find this Acheron tablet earlier, perhaps the demonic realm's invasion wouldn't have happened. The Azura clan leader had already found out from Zhan Hongying that the Acheron tablet was in Chu Kuangren's hands. However, they did not blame Chu Kuangren for not returning the Acheron tablet in time. After all, no one knew that Tuba and the others would plan an invasion against the Azura clan so soon. Moreover, Chu Kuangren did not know much about the Azura clan at that time. How could he have returned the Acheron tablet based on Zhan Hongying's one-sided statement? Suddenly, the Azura clan leader noticed something and his expression changed. The Acheron Emperor's power in this Acheron tablet is gone? Chu Kuangren frowned. This tablet has been like this ever since I obtained it. It's never had any Emperor's power. This Acheron tablet is the core of the Acheron formation, so it should have some Emperor's power. I get it, it's Acheron Manor. Suddenly, the Azura clan leader had a look of realization. Acheron Manor has been stealing the Acheron tablet for so many years, so the Emperor's power in it must have been depleted. No wonder they could develop to such a scale in just a few tens of thousands of years. It seems like the Firmament Star is destined to face this calamity. The Azura clan leader lamented. Even if the Acheron tablet was returned to the Azura clan, it would not be able to restore the Acheron formation. The descent of the demonic realm was a necessary event. Yet now it was solved by Chu Kuangren. After discussing with Chu Kuangren about how to suppress the demonic realm's passage, the Azura clan leader and Zhan Hongying left. However, not long after, someone else came to visit the Black Heaven sect. This time it was a familiar face. Oh, Senior Predictor. Inside the Longevity Hall, Chu Kuangren received someone. It was one of the most mysterious beings in the Firmament Star, the Predictor. Brother Chu, please accept my gratitude for sealing the demonic realm and saving the Firmament Star. The moment they met, the Predictor bowed at Chu Kuangren. Chu Kuangren immediately went forward to support him. You're too kind, Senior Predictor. After all, I'm still a part of the Firmament Star. Ha, Brother Chu, besides me, there are others who would like to express their gratitude to you. The Predictor smiled. Chapter 496. There are others? Chu Kuangren could not help but feel puzzled when he heard what the Divine Predictor said. He had a hunch that these people that the Divine Predictor mentioned were not as simple as they seemed. The Divine Predictor then took out a bronze mirror and tossed it into the air. A dazzling light flashed, followed by surges of Emperor/S aura that spread in all directions. Within the light, figures began to appear one after another. All of these people possessed a strong Emperor/S aura. These people were all emperors. The strong Emperor/S aura came one after another, alarming many cultivators. Everyone used their spiritual thoughts to spy on the Black Heaven sect, and when they saw the emperors they were all shocked. Even if they were just illusions, they still represented emperors. How many years had it been since an emperor had appeared in Firmament Star? What/s going on? Why are there so many emperors? Also, why is that Divine Predictor in Black Heaven sect? I/V heard a rumor that the Divine Predictor is in contact with the emperors. Could it be true? Did the Divine Predictor bring all these emperors here? That/is most likely the case. Everyone was in awe as they observed the emperor illusions. Then an even more shocking scene unfolded before their eyes. The emperor illusions bowed in Chu Kuangren/S direction. The emperors were bowing. At that moment, the cultivators of Firmament Star were shocked like never before. They were all emperors. They were high and mighty emperors who stood above billions of living beings. Yet now these emperors were bowing to a single person. What kind of honor was this person? Even Chu Kuangren was stunned for a moment. He did not expect the emperors to bow to him in such a manner. Brother Chu, we were unable to descend upon Firmament Star. It/s all thanks to you for stopping the calamity. This bow is our gratitude. Among the emperors, a white-haired old man smiled kindly at Chu Kuangren. You/re too kind emperor. We/I'll be waiting for you in the Firmament Star. The old man smiled. Then the emperor illusions began to dissipate. The thick Emperor/S aura also slowly disappeared. However, the scene of the emperors bowing to Chu Kuangren was still unforgettable for many cultivators on Firmament Star. Their respect for Chu Kuangren grew even stronger. Senior Qianji, don't tell me you're here just to bring the martial monarchs to express your gratitude? Chu Kuangren chuckled. Tianjizi stroked his beard and said, apart from that, I do have something else to tell you. What is it? The Emperor's Road is about to open. Chu Kuangren's eyes lit up when he heard that. The Emperor's Road was about to open? In other words, the grand finale of this era of great battles is finally here. Chu Kuangren's eyes were filled with anticipation. Not bad. When will the Emperor's Road open? It is estimated to be a year later, and the geniuses of the Nine Heavens have already received the news, and have all returned to the Nine Heavens to prepare. And many thanks for coming to inform me, Senior Tianji. It's all right. Besides, the Emperor's Road will only reopen after 150,000 years. The Emperor's Road will connect the underworld, Firmament Star, the Nine Skies and the Three Lands together. Moreover, there might be more than one throne. At the end of his sentence, even the Divine Predictor was a little uncertain. Since it was related to the Emperor's Road, even his derivation technique could not deduce everything clearly. He only had a vague idea. All in all, the Emperor's Road is about to open, and the battle for the throne is about to enter its final stage. Please be prepared, Brother Chu. Of course. Chu Kuangren nodded. By the way, please keep this with you, Brother Chu. Once you enter the Emperor's Road, it might be of help to you. The Divine Predictor took out a jade scroll. Chu Kuangren took it and glanced at it. It contained a lot of information about the major forces and geniuses of the Nine Heavens and Underworld. Chu Kuangren pondered for a moment before he kept it. Thank you. After chatting with the Divine Predictor for a while, this mysterious fellow then left again to wander the world. Now that he found out that the Emperor's Road was about to open in a year's time, Chu Kuangren felt that he had to do something, so he looked for Nangong Huang, Murong Xian, Shang Qingxue, and the other Taoists. It seems like it's been a long time since I've arranged training for you guys. Chu Kuangren's first sentence shocked Nangong Huang and the others. It was as if they were reminded of something unbearable in the past. Sect leader, do you mean? Nangong Huang was a little uneasy as he asked cautiously. Yes, it's exactly what you're thinking. Sect leader, why are you suddenly thinking of training us again? The Emperor's Road is about to open. Chu Kuangren said calmly. Everyone's expression changed drastically when they heard that. It was just a few words, but it brought them a great shock. We understand. Nangong Huang nodded with a serious expression. In the following time, Nangong Huang and the others also immersed themselves in the training that Chu Kuangren had arranged for them. All kinds of cultivation resources from the Black Heaven sect were also given to them. While Chu Kuangren arranged all kinds of training for Nangong Huang and the others to improve their strength. Far above the Nine Heavens, the various geniuses from the lower realms returned one by one. Their return caused quite a stir in the Nine Heavens. At the same time, they also brought news about Chu Kuangren to the various orthodoxies. The name Supreme Sage Chu Kuangren had spread throughout the orthodoxies of the Nine Heavens, and many people were familiar with him. Nine Heavens, the ancient orthodoxy, the Bai family. The Bai family's head was having a meeting with Shao Jingchen. Tens of thousands of years ago, Shao Jingchen came to the Bai family and joined them as their son-in-law. Due to his outstanding talent, he was put in an important position by the Bai family. They did not hesitate to help him descend to the lower realms to fight for all kinds of opportunities of fortune. When he returned to the Bai family, he brought news about Firmament Star to the Bai family's head, including news about Chu Kuangren. He managed to break free from the heavenly punishment and even became a supreme sage? I can't believe there's such a person in the lower realms. The Bai family's head pondered for a while before he asked, if you were to fight him with an emperor weapon, what do you think your chances of winning are? At most, 2. Only 2. The Bai family's head said in shock. Shao Jingchen nodded with an unpleasant expression. To be honest, in his heart he did not even have 1% of confidence, let alone 2%. He only said that because he did not want to embarrass himself. Then in your opinion, how does Hong Yu compare to him? Bai Hong Yu was the Bai family's forbidden sky pride. Her combat strength was peerless, much stronger than Shao Jingchen. Not more than 5%, Shao Jingchen said. All right, I understand. You may leave now. Shao Jingchen nodded slightly and retreated. Chu Kuangren, perhaps this person will be the biggest obstacle on the Emperor's path. Other than the Bai family. The other orthodoxies in the Nine Heavens such as the Wang family, the Heavenly Fox tribe, the Nine-Headed Snakelet tribe, and other orthodoxies all had their eyes on Chu Kuangren. Of course, some people thought highly of him and thought that he was an obstacle. Some people thought that it was too much of an exaggeration, thinking that Chu Kuangren was not as mysterious as everyone made him out to be. All in all, although Chu Kuangren was not in the Nine Heavens, his reputation had gradually spread. Chapter 497. Time passed quietly, and a year had passed in the blink of an eye. In a mountain range within the Black Heaven sect's boundary, Nangong Huang, Murong Xian, and the others were cultivating hard. The one who was fighting them was none other than Chu Kuangren, or rather, Chu Kuangren's sword chi clone. It was just like the hellish training from before. The familiar formula and the familiar power had caused Nangong Huang and the others to suffer for the past year. However, despite their hard work, they had improved tremendously. Now, Nangong Huang and the others were all experts who could hold their own. They could even fight against the Sage King. With some treasures, they could protect themselves even if they encountered a quasi-emperor. As for Chu Kuangren, his strength had become more and more unfathomable over the past year. Not only that, but he had also traveled to almost every forbidden area in the Firmament Star, sparring with the boundary emperors and gaining a deeper understanding of his own Tao. He had also gotten quite a number of good items from the gacha. Some of them were used by him, while others were used to strengthen the Black Heaven sect's foundation. Apart from the number of strong cultivators, no other orthodoxy in the Firmament Star could compare to the current Black Heaven sect in terms of foundation. Chu Kuangren even dared to say that even the ancient orthodoxies in the Nine Heavens might not have as deep a foundation as the Black Heaven sect. The Black Heaven sect now only lacked an emperor to truly become an emperor-level orthodoxy. Looking at the time, the emperor's path should be opening soon. Chu Kuangren murmured on a large blue stone. He casually unleashed a sword chi that turned into a clone to fight against Nangong Huang and the others. Since they were already being suppressed by a single sword chi clone, they could not help but grumble as they stared at Chu Kuangren resentfully. Sect leader's strength is getting more and more insane. Even a 7-step sage ruler wouldn't be able to last long against the few of us, yet we can't even defeat a sword chi clone of our sect leader. What realm do you guys think he's in? After the training, Nangong Huang and the others sat on the ground as Murong Xian casually said. The others were also guessing. Over the past year they had also asked Chu Kuangren, but he always said that he was still in the sage realm. They could not help but roll their eyes. Even the boundary emperors of the forbidden areas were respectful to him, yet he said that he was just a sage? Who would believe that? Could he have advanced to martial emperor? Shang Qingxue asked curiously. That's impossible. The emperor's road has not even opened yet. How could anyone become a martial emperor? Nangong Huang, Murong Xian and the others were discussing. Chu Kuangren, on the other hand, only smiled and did not say a word. He looked at the sky and murmured, "Is it really impossible to become an emperor in the age of chaos? Or is it only possible to become an emperor within the emperor's road?" This was something he had been thinking about for the past year. He did not lie to Nangong Huang and the others. Strictly speaking, his cultivation realm was indeed at the level of a sage. However, he was a supreme sage and like a quasi-emperor, he had found his own path. His combat strength was stronger than most quasi-emperors. From ancient times until now, there were not many people like him. His path of cultivation seemed to have deviated from the normal path of cultivators. Forget it, let's take it one step at a time. Chu Kuangren shook his head and laughed. Right now, I should think about how to advance to martial emperor first. A few days later. Suddenly, a strange fluctuation appeared in Firmament Star. All the Great Ones sensed it and looked towards the source of the strange fluctuation. Then, in the misty ocean, one of the 10 great forbidden areas of Firmament Star, a golden beam of light suddenly shot into the sky, and a powerful spatial fluctuation spread. The Emperor's Road has opened. Is this the direction of the misty ocean? Why is it there? That's one of the 10 great forbidden areas. The misty ocean is filled with turbulent undercurrents and countless oceanic beasts. It's extremely dangerous, and there's a natural force field that prevents cultivators from flying. Now that the entrance to the Emperor's Road has appeared there, even a sage ruler can't easily enter, let alone those sky prides. Many great ones discussed among themselves. They were very surprised that the entrance to the Emperor's Road had appeared in the misty ocean. Meanwhile, in the Black Heaven sect, Chu Kuangren looked in the direction of the misty ocean. It's finally opened. Brother, can I really not go with you? Beside Chu Kuangren, a 13 or 14-year-old girl with rosy lips and white teeth looked at Chu Kuangren reluctantly. That girl was a godly phoenix. She was the godly phoenix that had taken on the form of a sage. Chu Kuangren smiled as he patted her head and said, "Aside from me, you're the strongest person in the Black Heaven sect now. Although the boundary emperors in those forbidden areas are very obedient, who knows if they'll try anything funny after I enter the Emperor's Road. I can be more at ease with you around." "Alright then. I'll stay here and help you look after the Black Heaven sect," the godly phoenix Lil Red said. The Black Heaven sect was Chu Kuangren and her home. Although the Black Heaven sect had a strong foundation, it still needed an absolute powerhouse to oversee it. Aside from Chu Kuangren, only the godly phoenix was capable of that. Black Heaven sect in front of the Longevity Hall. Nangong Huang, Murong Xian, Junyi, Shang Qingxue, and the others had already gathered. At that moment, Chu Kuangren and Lan Yu walked over. Chu Kuangren took a deep breath and said, "The Emperor's Road has opened. Besides the sky prides of the Firmament Star, the sky prides of the underworld demonic realm and the 9 heavens will also enter. Besides, no one knows what will happen in the Emperor's Road, so it's still not too late if you want to back out now." "Sect leader, haven't we been preparing for a year just for this moment?" "That's right, we've already made up our minds." None of the Taoists were willing to give up on this opportunity. Chu Kuangren had expected this as well. Very well, let's go then. Chu Kuangren raised his hand and took out the elusive mirage. The giant elusive mirage soared into the sky, and everyone boarded it and headed towards the misty ocean. Meanwhile, outside the misty ocean, countless cultivators had gathered there, staring at the giant golden pillar of light with longing in their eyes. That was the entrance to the Emperor's Road. The reappearance of the Emperor's Road that had disappeared for hundreds of thousands of years excited many cultivators. Although the Emperor's Road has appeared, how are we supposed to enter the misty ocean? Yeah, even saint rulers don't dare to barge into the misty sea. Are we just going to watch from the side? I don't care. The Emperor's Road is right in front of us, so I'll give it a try even if it kills me. Many cultivators took out their ferry boats and placed them on the surface of the ocean. There was some kind of natural force field in the misty ocean that prevented cultivators from flying. If they wanted to enter, they could only ride on a ferry boat. Moreover, the ferry boat could not fly, so it could only be used as a normal boat. Some cultivators entered the misty ocean on a ferry boat, but before they could sail for more than a few miles, a terrifying roar came from the sea. A ferocious sea beast emerged from the surface of the sea, and with a loud bang, it smashed the immortal boat into pieces. The cultivators on the immortal boat fell into the water, and then they were dragged into the sea by tentacles that came out of nowhere, and there was no more movement. The cultivators at the shore of the misty ocean could not help but gulp when they saw that. Chapter 498. Outside the misty ocean, a large number of cultivators had gathered and were staring at the Emperor's Road with fiery eyes. However, they were afraid of the dangers of the misty ocean, so they did not dare to go forward. At that moment, a pitch-black giant ferry boat suddenly appeared from afar and landed on the surface of the misty ocean. Immediately afterward, a streak of sword chi shot out from the ferry boat. The terrifying sword chi poured down like a torrent, and the mist on the surface of the misty ocean quickly dispersed, revealing a wide path that led straight to the Emperor's Road. On both sides of the path, there were countless fine sword chis. The sword chis interweaved to form a wall, blocking the fog on both sides of the path. A single sword chi split the misty ocean apart. It's him, he's here. Chu Kuangren, he's here. How can the Emperor's Road not include him? What a powerful sword chi. To think that he would be able to split the bewildering fog sea into two. Duh, he's someone who could destroy the ancient battlefield with a single palm strike. Splitting the ocean with a single sword strike is nothing to him. As the misty ocean was split apart, everyone quickly took out their ferry boats and followed behind the elusive mirage. Meanwhile, Chu Kuangren stood on the deck of the elusive mirage with his spiritual thoughts. Nothing in the surrounding sea could escape his senses. The misty sea, one of the 10 great forbidden areas. According to ancient legend, an emperor had once fallen here, causing endless resentment. Thus, this mist that hasn't dispersed for over 100,000 years was formed. Countless oceanic beasts reside here, and it can be said to be the most dangerous place amongst the 10 great forbidden areas. Chu Kuangren murmured. Through his spiritual thoughts, he could sense many powerful beings in the depths of the misty ocean. Some of them were no weaker than a boundary emperor. Not only that, but there were also some places that even his spiritual thoughts could not detect. It was a very mysterious place. If there was anything in the firmament realm that Chu Kuangren was afraid of, the misty ocean was one of them. Fortunately, the entrance to the Emperor's Road was only at the periphery of the misty ocean and not its depths. The group then headed towards the Emperor's Road. Soon they arrived before the giant light pillar. This golden light pillar shot straight into the sky as if it was connected to the 9 underworlds in the universe. It emanated waves of powerful spatial fluctuations. Enter, Chu Kuangren said. Just as they entered the light pillar, an incredibly powerful spatial energy enveloped them. Sure City Wu family. The Wu family was one of the top families in Stone City. It was a famous existence within millions of miles. The master of the Wu family was a Holy King realm expert. In the entire Emperor Road he was considered an expert. But today the Wu family was facing an unprecedented catastrophe. Wu family hand over the green glass magic lamp. Otherwise the Wu family will be gone today. Inside the Wu family a big man with bare arms laughed. Beside him, there were a few other cultivators who were similarly emanating powerful auras. Every single one of them was a sage king. In front of the saint rulers was a middle-aged man covered in wounds. His presence was weak and his face was pale. Originally he was also a saint ruler, but now he was surrounded by several saint rulers. Now he was like an arrow at the end of its flight, and if he continued to fight he would definitely die. Family head, if you don't hand over the magic lamp, do you really want to see the Wu family die with you? A gray-robed old man looked at the Wu family head with ridicule and said. Hearing his words, the Wu family head's eyes were filled with hatred. First Elder, I didn't expect you to collude with the three big families to harm your own people. Today, even if I have to fight to the death with you, I will never let you succeed. The Wu family head took out a green lantern. The whole body of the lantern was like colored glass. It had 4 sides, which were painted with exquisite patterns and flowing with Taoist rhyme. It was the green glass magic lamp passed down from generation to generation in the Wu family. It was said that this was a powerful emperor weapon. However, for so many years, no one had seen the Wu family use this emperor weapon. Only the family head of the Wu family knew how much it cost to use this emperor weapon. Now, for some unknown reason, the 3 big families had their eyes on this emperor weapon. Moreover, with the help of the First Elder, they were probably going to destroy the Wu family. Poor First Elder. He thought they would help him ascend to the position of the family head. Thinking of this, the Wu family head couldn't help but sneer. If you want to destroy the Wu family, then please be prepared to die with us. Oh no, he is going to use the green glass magic lamp? No, didn't they say that this emperor weapon can't be used? The big man's face changed and said. The Wu family head said coldly, for so many years, no one has seen the Wu family use this emperor weapon. Over time, everyone thought that no one could use this emperor weapon. However, they didn't know that this emperor weapon can be used as long as you are prepared to die. After saying that, a large amount of blood mist suddenly burst out of the Wu family head's body. The blood mist was all injected into the green glass magic lamp. Suddenly, a little flame bloomed in the lamp. Although the flame was weak, it was filled with a surging emperor's pressure. Using one's own essence and blood as the lamp oil, one can activate the emperor weapon. So, the rumor is actually true. The First Elder looked at the green glass magic lamp and his face changed. Damn it, why didn't you tell us about this earlier? The big man glared at the First Elder. I thought it was just a rumor. I didn't expect it to be true. The First Elder said in a panic, what should we do now? It seems that he is forcibly activating this emperor weapon with a secret method. He won't be able to hold it for long. Don't fight him head-on. The big man said, and then he retreated. At this moment, the Wu family head shouted, and the green glass magic lamp bloomed with brilliant light. The practitioners who were enveloped by the light were enveloped by an extremely powerful force, and their bodies exploded one after another. Even the existence of the sage realm was no exception. Jianghu family, Chen family, by family, I will make you pay for what you have done today. The Wu family head roared. He activated his spiritual power, and aimed the power of the emperor weapon at the few sage kings who came to attack him. A golden light burst out from the green glass magic lamp. The big man's face changed and an armor suddenly appeared on his body. It was a top-notch sage weapon. He pushed out with both hands and resisted the power of the emperor weapon. With a rumble, a terrifying air wave spread out quickly with him as the center. The big man spat out blood and flew backward. He looked at the Wu family head with a pale face, so powerful. It is indeed an emperor weapon. He was severely injured with just one blow. This was when he was wearing a sage weapon, and the Wu family head was in a weakened state. The spiritual power in the Wu family head's body surged, and his aura was like a rainbow. The green glass magic lamp shone brightly, and it was about to show its power again. The First Elder, the big man, and the other sages looked a little flustered. The disciples of the Wu family, on the other hand, looked hopeful. However, at this moment, the Wu family head's face changed, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. The power of the magic lamp was reduced by more than half. He was already seriously injured, and he used his blood essence to activate the magic lamp. He could not hold on for long. This is a good chance. The First Elder and the big man were delighted, and they quickly attacked. Chapter 499. This is our chance. Seeing that the Wu family's head was in danger, a few sage rulers quickly made their move. Surging spiritual power erupted as several types of extremely powerful sage techniques were unleashed towards the Wu family's head. The patriarch of the Wu family was unable to react in time and was struck by the force on the spot. Even with the body of a saint ruler, it was difficult to resist and he was sent flying on the spot. The azure glass magic lamp in his hand also flew into the air and the light in the lampshade also gradually weakened. The burly man, the senior elder, and the others were about to rush forward to snatch it back. However, at that moment, a beam of light suddenly descended from the sky, and a dense spatial fluctuation appeared. The sudden change made everyone's expression change slightly. When the beam of light dissipated, a handsome young man in a white robe and black hair was seen standing in the middle of the battlefield. The divine green glazed lamp just happened to fall on top of his head, and he subconsciously reached out to catch it. He held it in his hand and carefully examined it. Oh, this is an emperor weapon. Are all the opportunities of fortune of the emperor's path given out so casually? The white-robed young man, who was Chu Kuangren, could not help but exclaim. He was transported to this place by a powerful spatial energy the moment he entered the emperor's path. As for the others, they were probably transported to some random place in the emperor's path as well. However, an emperor weapon fell from the sky just as he was transported here. He did not know what to say about his luck. Could it be that the opportunities of fortune of the emperor's path were so abundant that even emperor weapons were given out so casually? Who are you? At that moment, one of the sage rulers who surrounded the Wu family asked cautiously. Chu Kuangren's appearance was so sudden that they did not notice him at all, so they had to be vigilant. Could he be a helper that the Wu family found? At that thought, the few sage rulers present looked at Chu Kuangren with hostility. While everyone was observing Chu Kuangren, he was also looking around. His spiritual thoughts gushed out and covered a radius of 100,000 kilometers. And this was the limit of what he could do in the Emperor's Road. Chu Kuangren frowned. My spiritual thoughts have been restricted. This Emperor's path is a little different from the outside world. Hey, answer my question. Seeing that Chu Kuangren was ignoring him, the sage ruler who had asked the question was extremely annoyed. A cold glare shot out from his eyes as he stared at the sacred green glazed lamp in Chu Kuangren's hand. Meanwhile, the hand behind his back was secretly accumulating spiritual power. Chu Kuangren retracted his spiritual thought and focused on the situation at hand. I seem to have gotten myself into some kind of trouble. Boom. At that moment, the sage ruler beside Chu Kuangren suddenly unleashed his power. A powerful wave of spiritual energy erupted. I don't care who you are. Go to hell. A mere Saint King dares to be so impudent? Chu Kuangren gently lifted his hand, and a surge of spiritual power that was even more terrifying than a sage ruler erupted. With a boom, the moment the two spiritual energies collided, the saint ruler cried out miserably on the spot. His entire arm had been reduced to a bloody mist by an extremely powerful force, and the residual force had sent the saint ruler flying. He fell to the ground like a broken kite. What? Such powerful strength. The people from the other clans couldn't help but narrow their eyes at this scene. I can't believe clan head Qian was defeated with just one move. How is this possible? How can there be such an expert in the Stone City? This person's background is mysterious and he's very powerful. It's best not to fight him head-on. When the people from the other clans saw Chu Kuangren, their eyes were filled with unprecedented fear. They were already thinking of escaping. We'd like to ask for your name, Taoist brother, so that we can accept our defeat. The burly man who was previously injured by the green glazed magic lamp looked at Chu Kuangren solemnly. Who I am isn't important. What's important is that this emperor weapon is fated to be mine, so I want it. If you guys want to snatch it from me, I don't mind killing a few of you, Chu Kuangren said calmly, but his tone was extremely cold. There was no reason for Chu Kuangren to reject an emperor weapon that was given to him. The sage rulers seemed to be shocked by Chu Kuangren's words. They looked at each other, not daring to step forward. Do you know who wants this green glazed magic lamp? I don't know, Chu Kuangren replied nonchalantly. In that case, I hope you won't regret this. The burly sage ruler gave everyone a look after he said that. One day you'll pay for what you've done today. The Grand Elder spat before he turned around and left with the burly man. The other cultivators were preparing to leave as well. Wait a minute. At that moment, Chu Kuangren spoke. He looked at the Grand Elder and said, You were threatening me just now, weren't you? I'm just telling the truth. If that's the case, you can stay here and don't leave, Chu Kuangren said. He then gently lifted his arm and an invisible surge of mind power gushed out. Lines of mysterious runes suddenly appeared around the Grand Elder. These runes intertwined with each other and emitted a colorful glow. Following that, streams of energy exploded in an earth-shattering manner. With a loud bang, the first elder was blasted into nothingness by that incomparably violent energy. This scene made everyone swallow their saliva. First, Chu Kuangren used his spiritual power to defeat a sage ruler, and now he used runes to kill the Grand Elder who was no weaker than a sage ruler. This kind of strength was too terrifying for them. Even a top-notch sage ruler might not have this kind of strength. Could he be a boundary emperor? The crowd was secretly shocked. Let's go. The burly man looked at Chu Kuangren fearfully. He did not have the courage to fight him. He then led the rest of the people and left the Wu family. After everyone had left, the remaining Wu family members looked at Chu Kuangren. None of them dared to approach him. Even when he was playing with the Wu family's inherited emperor weapon, the green glaze magic lamp, no one dared to ask for it back. Chu Kuangren played with the green glaze magic lamp and said, "I've helped you kill the traitor and defeated the enemy. Don't you have anything to say?" He had just checked with the Eye of Revelation. The person he killed was the Wu family's Grand Elder, but that person had gone against the Wu family. It was obvious that he was a traitor. That was the reason why he killed him. It was not just because he threatened him. Upon hearing that, the Wu family's clan head hurriedly walked up to Chu Kuangren. Thank you, Brother Taoist, for your help." He spat out blood as he spoke. His aura was extremely weak, as if he could die at any time. The Wu family members were extremely worried when they saw him. Currently, the Wu family was plagued with internal and external threats. If the Wu family's clan head died, the Wu family would fall into a leaderless situation. By then they would not be far from destruction. "You can't even speak properly." Chu Kuangren shook his head and raised his hand to cast the spring breeze healing technique. A gentle breeze blew past, and a large amount of life force instantly surged into the Wu family's clan head's body, rapidly healing his body. The Wu family's clan head, who was on the verge of death, suddenly had a healthy glow on his face. He looked at Chu Kuangren in shock. What cultivation technique is this?" "It's none of your business. Now that I've helped the Wu family defeat the enemy and saved your life, I need you to do something for me," Chu Kuangren said calmly. He was not a person who casually showed kindness. Saving the Wu family was just to make use of this family to do something for him. Chapter 500. Brother, please let us know if you have any requests. The Wu family will do everything within our power to help. The Wu family's head was straightforward. He knew that compared to the other clans, Chu Kuangren's power was undoubtedly much more terrifying. The Wu family was not even worth mentioning in front of Chu Kuangren. If he wanted to destroy them, he could do so at any time. The disparity between the two sides was too great, so great that no one could muster the slightest thought of resistance. If that was the case, they might as well obey. Moreover, Chu Kuangren had just saved the Wu family in his life. The Wu family's head had a feeling that this might be a turning point for the Wu family. "You're quite tactful." Chu Kuangren nodded slightly, satisfied with the Wu family's head's attitude. "Let me ask you a few questions. Is this the Emperor's Road?" The Wu family's head was a little shocked. He did not expect Chu Kuangren to ask such a question. However, he seemed to have thought of something and nodded solemnly. "Yes." "Are you people born and raised in the Emperor's Road, or are you outsiders?" "We were born in the Emperor's Road, so we can be considered as a local force. However, there are many powerful external forces in the Emperor's Road." The Wu family's head had already guessed Chu Kuangren's background, so he did not hide it. "Very well. Finally, I want all the information about the Emperor's Road, including the forces here, which sky prides are there, and especially about the Emperor's throne." "I understand." The Wu family's head nodded and then arranged a guest room for Chu Kuangren. From the beginning to the end, he did not mention that Chu Kuangren had taken the green glaze lamp. In the Wu family's main hall, the Wu family's head and a few elders were gathered together. "Head, what should we do next?" "Let's listen to his orders and help him do his job." "Head, what about the green glaze lamp? Do you think we can get it back if he doesn't give it to us?" The Wu family's head rolled his eyes and said. Then his eyes lit up and he said, "Plus, you must have heard the recent news. The mountain of emperors has changed and the throne has reappeared. This means that the way of emperors has been reconnected with the outside world. This man could be a heaven's favorite from the outside world who is here to compete for the throne. Moreover, you've all seen his strength. He can defeat saint rulers with ease. Even the most terrifying forbidden prodigies on the Emperor's Road are no match for him. Just how powerful is the orthodoxy that can raise such a prodigy? It is definitely many times better than our Wu family. The talents of the Wu family have withered these years, and we have no fate with the throne. If we can build a good relationship with this person, it will be beneficial to the Wu family. Furthermore, if this person can really ascend to the throne, we will have dealings with an emperor. Just this point is enough for the Wu family to benefit endlessly. The Wu family head's words made everyone sink into contemplation. Although the chances of him ascending the throne were slim, it was still a possibility. Besides, they had no other choice but to avoid becoming enemies with Chu Kuangren. We understand. After that, the few elders followed Chu Kuangren's instructions and went to prepare the information regarding the emperor's path. Meanwhile, in the Wu family's guest room, Chu Kuangren retracted his spiritual thought. These people are quite smart. They didn't do anything behind my back. He needed an organization to prepare the information for him, so it would be best if the Wu family listened to him. The spatial structure of the Emperor's Road is different from the outside world. Looks like I'll need some time to get used to it. Chu Kuangren noticed that not only was his spiritual thought limited, but he could also not use the spatial conveyor technique well. This was because the spatial structure of the Emperor's Road was different from the outside world, so he needed to analyze it properly to get used to it. However, other than these two aspects, his combat strength was not affected, which was enough for him to deal with anything. Stone City, Jianghu family's residence. The Jianghu family head and a few other sage rulers who had just returned from the Wu family were gathered together. **, someone like that suddenly appeared and messed up our plans. Now that we can't get our hands on the magic green glass lamp, who knows how that existence will punish us. The Jianghu family head said with a hint of fear in his eyes when he mentioned that existence. We can't lose the magic green glass lamp, but that young man's strength is too strong. He can easily defeat a sage ruler. I think only that existence has a way to deal with someone like that. We can't handle him, so let's talk to him. The Qian family head said as he held his broken arm. He had exchanged a blow with Chu Kuangren, and that kind of power made his heart palpitate. I guess that's the only way. The Jianghu family head then took out a transparent crystal. The crystal released a ray of light that intertwined in the void and formed a shadow. It was a blurry figure, and one could vaguely see that this person was wearing a luxurious golden robe. Although it was only a shadow, it still exuded a chilling aura. Greetings, Jianghu. The Jianghu family head and the others quickly bowed. Has it been done? The being who had been addressed as Jianghu said indifferently. The few family heads looked at each other when they heard that, but no one dared to speak. Jianghu had already guessed what was going on when he saw that. He said angrily, "Tell me what's going on?" Everything was going smoothly at first, but when we were about to get our hands on the magic green glass lamp, the Jianghu family had told him everything. Jianghu was silent for a while before he snorted. Trash. Please forgive me, Jianghu. I have something to do and can't leave. Tomorrow I'll send my sword servants to complete this task. If the sword servants are willing to personally take action, then this matter will definitely be in the bag, the Jianghu family head hurriedly flattered. If something goes wrong again this time, your clans can forget about continuing to exist. Jianghu snorted before his figure disappeared. The Jianghu family head and the others could not help but shiver when they heard what he said. With the help of the sword servants, there shouldn't be a problem. That's right. You don't have to worry too much. Inside the Wu family, Chu Kuangren was playing with the magic green glass lamp in his hand when he suddenly realized that the emperor weapon was broken. There was no wick in the magic green glass lamp. A broken emperor weapon isn't worth much to me. If the Wu family does a good job, I can consider returning it to them. Chu Kuangren murmured. At that moment, the Wu family had knocked on the door. Chu Kuangren kept the magic green glass lamp. Come in. Greetings, Brother Chu. Oh, how's it going? This is the map of the Emperor's path, as well as the information about the sky prides and strong cultivators. The Wu family head took out a jade scroll. Chu Kuangren used his spiritual thought to read it and realized that some of the information matched with the information about the 9 heavens forces that the divine predictor had given him. He pondered. It seems like the ancient orthodoxies have been laying out their plans on the Emperor's path since a long time ago. This is interesting. Not only do I have to deal with the sky prides, but I also have to deal with the forces that the orthodoxies left behind in the Emperor's path. No wonder the divine predictor would give me information about the 9 heavens forces. Chapter 501. After asking about the Emperor's Road's layout, Chu Kuangren then asked about the green glass magic lamp. The family head of the Wu family didn't hide anything and told them everything about the green glass magic lamp. The green glass magic lamp has been in the Wu family for a long time, so it's not a secret. However, this imperial weapon is in an incomplete state. Only by using the Wu family's secret method, which is to use the practitioner's essence blood to transform the lamp oil, can it be activated. Therefore, the other families don't care too much about this imperial weapon. But recently, for some reason, they suddenly set their eyes on the green glass magic lamp and even bribed the first elder of the Wu family. The family head of the Wu family also had some doubts. Chu Kuangren, on the other hand, was deep in thought. A damaged monarch artifact would require one to pay the price of one's blood essence or even one's life in order to activate it. Naturally, he would not pay too much attention to it. However, if it was a complete monarch armament, it would be a different story. What if they were able to complete the green glaze magic lamp? Chu Kuangren suddenly had an idea. This would also explain why the Zhang clan, Chen clan, and the other clans were suddenly eyeing the green glass magic lamp. It was even possible that there was a mastermind behind them. Right, there's actually another rumor about the green glass magic lamp. It said that this magic lamp is related to the Azure Profound Sword Emperor from hundreds of thousands of years ago. The Wu family suddenly recalled a rumor passed down from generation to generation. Oh, you're even related to a sword emperor now, Chu Kuangren said with interest. Yes, the owner of the green glass magic lamp, Empress Qing Li, and the green profound sword emperor were Dao companions. However, the green profound sword emperor went into closed-door cultivation in the Emperor's Road and there was no news of him after that. Rumor has it that he failed in his closed-door cultivation and died. Only Empress Qing Li has a way to find him, and this method is related to the green glass magic lamp. But these were just rumors a long time ago. They can't be taken seriously. The Wu family head shook his head and smiled. Whether it's true or not, we'll know once we complete the green glass magic lamp. Initially, Chu Kuangren wanted to return the emperor weapon to the Wu clan. However, he decided against it now. An incomplete imperial armament would be useless to him, but a complete imperial armament might not be of any use to him. Not to mention, this involved the existence of a sword emperor. The next day, after a night's time, Chu Kuangren had almost sorted out all the information he had on the emperor's path. The most important information was the Emperor Mountain at the end of the Emperor's Road. That was where the throne was located. Ever since the Emperor's Road had been closed, the Emperor Mountain had not had a new emperor for 150,000 years. Recently, an extremely powerful emperor's aura was emitted from the Emperor's Mountain. The entire Emperor's Mountain was enveloped by an unknown force and no one was allowed to get close. This strange change was the sign that Di Shan was about to have the throne. This caused all the living beings on the Emperor's Road to enter a frenzy. They were all preparing to fight for the throne. Di Shan's throne is the place to become an emperor. Also, other than the geniuses from the Nine Heavens and Hell, there are also the local geniuses from the ancient orthodoxies. TSK, the Battle of the Emperor's Path has reached its most crucial moment. It's getting more and more interesting. Chu Kuangren held the hilt of the Descendant Self-Sword with one hand. I hope a few interesting fellows will show up. Otherwise, it'll be too boring to walk alone at the end of the Emperor's Road. The Kuan Wu sword seemed to have sensed its master's mood and trembled. At that moment, all the practitioners of the Wus shuddered unconsciously, and then looked around in bewilderment. Wu's family had come out. At that moment, a roar suddenly rang out above the Wu's residence. Following that, an awe-inspiring sword-based Taoist rhyme swept out and covered the entire Wu's residence. That was the power of a sage ruler. Moreover, it was a top-notch sage ruler. Chu Kuangren, who was in his room, looked out the window. Oh, they're quite fast. He was not surprised. There was something fishy about the few great clans trying to snatch the magic green glaze lamp. It was very likely that someone was behind it. If the great clans failed and the mastermind was not willing to give up, he would definitely send more people over. In the sky above the Wu's residence, other than the Zhang's family head, the Qian's family head, and a few other sage rulers, there were also a few extremely cold swordsmen. It was worth mentioning that each of these swordsmen was wearing different colored clothes. Red, orange, yellow, green, cyan, blue, and purple. When the Wu's family head and the others saw these swordsmen, their faces instantly turned pale. It's them? It's them? How can this be? How can our Wus be targeted by such existences? The Wu's family head and the others' faces were ashen. On the Emperor's path, these swordsmen were not the most powerful, but they represented one of the most terrifying forces on the Emperor's path. The swordsmen. How did our Wus encounter the swordsman? An elder said in horror. No one could answer him. They were also full of doubts. The Wu's family head took a deep breath. He had long guessed that there was a mastermind behind the Zhangs, but he did not expect it to be the swordsman. The 7 colored swordsmen are the highest grade of swordsmen in the swordsman.